Marvel, it starts when it links with a great clock of the Super God Academy. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301, The King and the God of Death. Chaos magic has the ability to change reality and modify probability. In the Marvel Universe, there was a plot on the comics where a sentence from Scarlet Witch changed the entire world. At that time, Scarlet Witch said that there was no need for mutants in this world, so the mutants in the entire Marvel world almost disappeared completely. What Li Qingyun is using now is similar to the ability that Scarlet Witch used at that time. In addition, Li Qingyun's application of chaos magic is more proficient than Scarlet Witch, and he has also completely combined the three similar abilities of ether particles, void and anti-void into it. Therefore, at this moment, Li Qingyun's simple words directly modified the genes of the triangle, causing them to completely degenerate into the uncivilized state that they had evolved secretly with great difficulty in the dark. No, how is this possible? The mottled blue king was roaring at this moment, but at the same time, he also felt a deep fear. Originally, he planned to use the advantages of the number and overall strength of the triangles to continuously consume Li Qingyun and the angel legions around him. As long as he could cause them huge losses, these invaders would definitely retreat. There is no main god of any civilization in the world who is willing to sacrifice all his men in vain to perish with another civilization. Especially in the current universe, the angel civilization, the earth civilization, the demon civilization, and the Styx civilization are in a state of hostility, and there is great hatred between them. In this case, if the Angel Legion suffers huge losses, then they will inevitably be at a disadvantage in the subsequent confrontation with the Demon Legion. But now, Li Qingyun completely destroyed his plan with just one sentence. Dozens of triangular generals are all dead, and the soldiers under these generals were originally fighting under their control. Now that the generals are dead, the soldiers immediately lose their combat effectiveness. Although not all soldiers are like this, all the high-end combat power and more than 80% of the soldiers have all degenerated into ordinary marine creatures. Model Blue, this huge triangular civilization, now only a small part is left. Death, the Lord of Mottled Blue raised his head and shouted to the void. Lord, in the Death Song Academy, the god of death Carl was depressed because of Hu Yi's death. He originally planned to test Li Qingyun's true strength, but he didn't get any data. Now the god of death Carl was racking his brains to think about how to deal with Li Qingyun. Just at this moment, the Lord of Mottled Blue, who had always been hypocritical and even a little indifferent to him, suddenly sent him a communication invitation. Death, save me, the words of the Lord of Mottled Blue came again, and this time, the Lord said the real purpose of contacting the god of death. Save you, the god of death Carl was shocked. This person was not afraid even when facing himself. And even his mottled blue civilization had gradually developed into a huge civilization that was not weaker than any of the current main god civilizations. Such a powerful lord of mottled blue civilization actually needs to ask for help from himself? The god of chaos personally led the angel army to my mottled blue. Just now, he wiped out all the generals and 80% of the soldiers of my mottled blue with just one sentence. What did you say? The god of death Carl was completely stunned. His phantom, who had been indifferent to honor and disgrace and had lost all sense of emotions, could not help but show shock and panic at this moment. Just one sentence was enough to wipe out all the generals of Model Blue and 80% of its soldiers. He spent a lot of effort to create a triangle with a general and 4 soldiers. Now, in front of Li Qingyun, it has become so vulnerable? His words are like an irresistible law of the universe, the Lord of Mottled Blue explained. He said that the triangle is just a dolphin, and dolphins should not have wisdom. At that time, he was controlling one of the generals, and he released a kind of energy based on the general's genetic data. After he said this, more than 30 generals degenerated into dolphins in an instant. The tens of thousands of soldiers who were originally guided and developed by these generals also degenerated into their primitive forms after these generals degenerated. Now in my Model Blue, except for a guard team around me, there are only a few hundred soldiers who have evolved independently. The king told the details of the situation, including the dangerous situation of their Mottled Blue. All the generals have degenerated, and more than 80% of the soldiers have lost their combat effectiveness. In this case, Mottled Blue can no longer be considered a civilization. Just saying this sentence can achieve such a degree. Death Carl fell into deep thought, trying to understand what the king of Mottled Blue said at this moment. This ability seems to be caused by the characteristics of the law of cause and effect. He denies the existence of our triangle from the source. The king said his own guess. This was the first thing he thought of after seeing all his generals die. From the perspective of evolution, is it fundamentally denying your existence? Even the most powerful void technology cannot do this. Death God Carl is studying the void, and he is confident that in the entire Super God universe, no one can surpass him in the void technology. I'm afraid his ability is not simply from technology, the Mottled Blue King replied. Not simply from technology. Carl was even more confused. In this world, in this known universe, what other power can be stronger than the power of technology? Now is not the time to consider these issues, the Mottled Blue King interrupted the Death God Carl's thinking. The God of Chaos has reached the surface of the planet. He is about to enter the deep sea and launch a final attack on me. My life and death, the life and death of Mottled Blue, are only between this last line. The Mottled Blue King is anxious. At the moment when he asked for help from the God of Death Carl, Li Qingyun had already led the angel army into the Mottled Blue atmosphere and landed on the sea. Li Qingyun could enter the seabed at any time and launch the final attack on the Mottled Blue King. Chapter 302, The God of Death Carl is about to collapse. I will open a space wormhole leading to the Dark Nebula for you. Death Carl understood how dangerous the situation of the Lord of Mottled Blue was at the moment. He knew even more clearly that if he helped the Lord of Mottled Blue now, then the Lord would definitely stand on his side after being rescued. Now that the best puppet, the Heavenly Palace King Huiyi, has died, if he can get the Lord to join his army, then he can get another big help. Moreover, Mottled Blue is different from other civilizations. The Lord of Mottled Blue can evolve ordinary marine life into a brand new triangular warrior in a short time. In other words, as long as the Lord can join the Death Carl, then the Death Carl is equivalent to mastering an advanced triangular civilization. Death Carl will have a steady stream of triangular warriors under his command, and this effect is no worse than Huiyi and the millions of scum under his command. Hurry up, the Lord of Mottled Blue urged. At the same time, Death Carl had already started the operation. Don't waste your energy. It's impossible to use space technology in front of me. Li Qingyun's voice came in at this critical moment. The Death God Carl, who was planning to use the big clock to open the space wormhole, and the Mottled Blue King who is anxious to transfer, were all stunned at this moment. The space data has changed, the wormhole algorithm is invalid, and the space wormhole cannot be opened. The voice of the big clock sounded in Carl's mind, and the Death God of the Dark Nebula felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Originally, after he developed the void technology and destroyed the Holy Kisha, the Death God Carl thought he was the real strongest in the universe, and he no longer had any so-called opponents in his eyes. But at such a critical moment, Li Qingyun ran out. This mysterious God of Chaos completely crushed him in all aspects. All his plans, whether against the earth or the mellow heaven, were destroyed. The ally he had finally found, the demon army, is now hiding somewhere unknown. The Teoti Corps suffered a disastrous defeat on Earth. The Xianzhe group was completely defeated in the Angel Nebula. Now the Mottled Blue was about to join his army, but was destroyed by Li Qingyun. Snow, find 2 top fighters immediately. I want to start the Void Knight plan. Death Carl gave up. He gave up the Mottled Blue. But he definitely couldn't sit there and wait for death. He still had one last plan in his hand, a plan he had carefully prepared for a long time, the so-called Void 4 Knights. At the same time, in the palace in the Mottled Blue Deep Sea, the Mottled Blue King in the royal palace had fallen into deep despair. God of Chaos, please spare my life. The Mottled Blue King lowered his body to the ground, imitating the posture of humans kneeling, and he was expressing his submission to Li Qingyun. I have said long ago that I came here today to completely eradicate you, Mottled Blue. All the triangles, not one can be left. How can you, the most important lord, be left? Li Qingyun said. He was standing alone in front of the Mottled Blue Lord at this moment, but the aura emanating from his body had already enveloped the entire planet. All the triangles in the seawater and underground, including some other creatures that may have wisdom, have been locked by Li Qingyun. At the same time, the Red Star computing group behind Li Qingyun has begun to mobilize huge energy for Li Qingyun, waiting for Li Qingyun to use it at any time. This planet is very beautiful. Even if all of you have lost wisdom, you will still be very happy living here. Li Qingyun looked around. The environment here is just as Li Qingyun said, it is very beautiful. If Li Qingyun wants to find a place to live in seclusion in this world, he may choose here. Therefore, letting the triangles degenerate into the original marine life and continue to live on this planet is not a bad treatment for them. Is it really impossible to preserve our wisdom? The mottled blue lord's tone was a little regretful, but at the same time, he also had a sense of luck in his heart, because from the tone of Li Qingyun's words at this moment, it seemed that Li Qingyun was not going to kill him. Other triangles cannot preserve their wisdom, and you have no chance to continue living. Li Qingyun looked at the mottled blue lord in front of him, his eyes had seen through his thoughts. Why? The mottled blue lord asked back. He couldn't understand why other triangles had a chance to survive, but he couldn't. Other triangles, after they degenerate, should not have the opportunity to evolve again. Even if there is a chance, it will take thousands or tens of thousands of years, but you are different. You were just an uncivilized triangle in the past, but you were able to rise quickly in this planet made up of the ocean, and after rising, you immediately researched a way to extend your lifespan, and then created the current large-scale triangle civilization. If you don't die, you will be given a chance to start over. You can still grow up again in a very short time. Li Qingyun has read the entire mottled blue civilization information. How this civilization was formed, as well as the growth information of the mottled blue lord, are all in Li Qingyun's control. A marine creature that originally had no wisdom, but was able to be the first to generate thoughts when other marine creatures were not civilized, and quickly led other triangles to evolve with his own thoughts. Even the original Shen civilization, in the process of technological development, took 100,000 years to finally develop into a main god civilization. Before Ding Zhihui and the space principle, there were countless great wise men and rulers. They developed into the civilization of the Lord God through the efforts of generations, and finally created super soldiers and the Lord God, and finally achieved immortality. However, mottled blue had only one ruler from the beginning to the end, a ruler who was uncivilized and finally studied to extend his lifespan, and finally reached the level of eternal life in theory. Therefore, other triangles, Li Qingyun, can make them degenerate into ordinary marine life and let them continue to survive on this planet. But the lord of the country, absolutely not. Chapter 303, Mottled Blue no longer exists. No, I won't. The lord of Mottled Blue wanted to struggle again, but Li Qingyun didn't give him any chance. He raised his right hand suddenly, and pressed his index finger directly on the Lord of Mottled Blue's forehead. This press contained an extremely powerful force, which instantly sank into the Lord of Mottled Blue's body and merged into the Lord of Mottled Blue's brain. In just a short moment, the Lord of Mottled Blue lost all consciousness, he lost all his thoughts and wisdom, and at the same time, he also lost his life. The founder of the Mottled Blue civilization, the one who led the first large-scale civilization in the entire triangle, the most outstanding lord in the triangle, was killed before he could further develop the Mottled Blue due to the sudden appearance of Li Qingyun, the god of chaos. You are a very outstanding monarch. You have led the Mottled Blue to grow to this day. You can be said to be an extremely rare capable person in the universe. It's a pity that you are not the main life form in this world after all, and there is great malice towards the human group in your way of thinking. In this case, I can only choose to let you die, Li Qingyun said, and the body of the Mottled Blue Lord in front of him, Li Qingyun just grabbed it casually, and completely gathered it and pulled it into his own small world. Although he killed it, he did not intend to completely destroy the body of the Mottled Blue Lord. Leaving it, perhaps he could study more things in the future. Maybe one day in the future, when Li Qingyun has a lot of time and doesn't know what to do, he will revive it again and let him walk the path of his past rise again in the small universe. Li Qingyun wants to take a good look at what a universe completely ruled by triangles will be like. After cleaning up the Mottled Blue Lord, Li Qingyun continued to look around, and his attention fell on other triangles. There are still some surviving triangles on this planet. Although they are not as good as the generals of the triangles, and even less than the lord of the Mottled Blue country in front of them, they are also triangles after all. Moreover, they have followed the lord of the Mottled Blue country for thousands of years and have fully understood the development direction of the triangle civilization. If they stay, although they will not become another powerful lord of the Mottled Blue country, they can make the Mottled Blue civilization continue to develop as planned, which is still a huge threat to mankind. You all turn back into primitive marine creatures, Li Qingyun said, and the power in his body burst out again. At this moment, The energy of the Red Star Operation Group was all transmitted to Li Qingyun's body, helping him to complete this huge algorithm. In this way, the entire modeled blue civilization has come to an end. This modeled blue civilization is destroyed. Although other triangles in the universe may have intelligent life, it is definitely not so easy to grow up and create the same triangle civilization. God of Chaos, is this battle over? Angel Lengfa asked. The angel was commanding 2 celestial spaceships in the back to destroy some buildings and equipment of the modeled blue civilization. Li Qingyun can directly target the genes of the triangles to make them degenerate, but the equipment built by these triangles still stores a lot of data of the triangle civilization. Only by destroying them all can we avoid rapid evolution one day in the future because of a sudden intrusion of a marine creature. The modeled blue is a very powerful civilization, and they have a development speed far beyond our imagination. This time we were able to destroy it so smoothly because we were able to find it before it developed. If we delay for a while, even for just a few hundred years, this modeled blue civilization will definitely be able to develop into a powerful civilization far beyond your angel civilization. Li Qingyun's words were not imagined out of thin air, but were judged based on the data of their development over thousands of years in the records of the modeled blue civilization. It's their own fault. If they had stayed on this modeled blue planet and developed for thousands of years, they would have gone out into the universe. Even if we knew of their existence, we would not be able to deal such a crushing blow to them, Angel Leng said. In her opinion, the reason why the modeled blue had come to this end was entirely because they were too hasty. The person they feared most in the past was your Holy Kisha, so for thousands of years before the fall of Holy Kisha, they kept a low profile as much as possible and hid themselves from being discovered by anyone, but later, the fall of Holy Kisha made them mistakenly believe that the time had come. In addition, the god of death Karl discovered some of their outgoing teams in advance, so they were able to find them in a short time and pull them into Hui's team, giving us the opportunity to discover them. What Li Qingyun said at this moment was exactly what the triangle originally thought. The reason why they exposed the existence of the modeled blue civilization was because of the small team they sent out into the universe. Think about the triangles in the original book. If they hadn't attacked Proxima, which is not far from the Earth, no one would have paid attention to them at all when the major civilizations of the human race were attacking each other. But they couldn't bear the loneliness and sent a team to attack Proxima, wanting to occupy Proxima. This action directly led to their discovery by the angel civilization. Moreover, because of the subsequent attack on the Earth, they were targeted by the power of the Milky Way first, and the hour clock was used to calculate the way to deal with them. The god of death Karl and the heavenly palace King Hui also followed them to find the modeled blue civilization, and finally pulled the triangles into the water and joined their army. Humph! These jumping clowns, the angel snorted coldly. They actually wanted to take advantage of the death of Queen Kesha to develop and strengthen themselves. Now they are in trouble. They are wiped out first, the angel said this coldly, with a sense of gloating. Well, the modeled blue civilization has been completely destroyed now. We don't have to worry about them continuing to threaten our human civilization next. Li Qingyun no longer considered the issue of the triangle. All the generals and rulers of the triangle had been eliminated, and the other evolved triangles had also degenerated. The modeled blue civilization had been completely destroyed. This temporary physical war ended so quickly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304 The microcosm has shrunk. The modeled blue civilization has been completely destroyed. The supreme commander of the triangle, the lord of the modeled blue country, was killed. All the commanders were forcibly modified by Li Qingyun with chaos magic, making it impossible for them to evolve into intelligent creatures. As for the other triangles, they were simply degenerated into cosmic creatures, but in this case, according to normal development, it is almost impossible for them to complete their evolution. Even if it is possible, they cannot achieve the level of the modeled blue now. Under the suppression of the major civilizations of the super god universe, the triangle will inevitably be difficult to rise again. As for why they were not all killed, it is because it is meaningless. It is impossible for the universe to be completely free of marine life, so the triangle will appear sooner or later. Even if it does not appear on the modeled blue star, It will appear on other planets in the universe. Since it will appear anyway, it is better to leave this mottled blue star and the marine life here, so that people in other main civilizations in the universe can always remember that there was such a civilization that could threaten their other species. After the mottled blue civilization was completely destroyed, Li Qingyun immediately led the angel army and began to return to the mellow heaven. For Li Qingyun now, studying the spatial dimension and the microcosmic membrane is what he must do first. Therefore, if there is nothing else very important, he needs to return to the mellow heavenly palace to continue his subsequent research with the heavenly base King Hexi. You and the death god Karl are now in a situation of life and death. At such a critical moment, don't you plan to prioritize solving him? Hexi looked at Li Qingyun, who had returned at this time, and asked directly. The original problem has not been solved yet. It is still a waste of effort to find the death god Karl now, Li Qingyun said. The problem he mentioned that needed to be solved was naturally the fact that there was no way to kill the phantom of the death god Karl. The trick you used to deal with Hu Yi, is it ineffective against the death god Karl? Hexi asked. She had been observing the whole process of Li Qingyun's battle with Hu Yi. The way Hu Yi was killed by Li Qingyun at that time, she now thinks it is very scary. It's useless. My move is only for targets that still have living entities, but the phantom of the god of death Karl has already surpassed the scope of life. Even if I destroy his divine body severely, it will not have any effect on him at all. Li Qingyun basically understands the super god technology. But the phantom is still a technology that Li Qingyun cannot crack. Even if he found a way to completely upgrade to a phantom in the big clock, he still couldn't destroy it. Because when the god of death Karl developed the phantom, he wanted to make it truly foolproof and ensure that he would never be killed. Whether it is the gods in the main biological world or the mysterious void creatures in the void world, it is impossible. Therefore, the phantom studied by the god of death Karl is now almost unsolvable. Then, can the space dimension technology we are studying now do this? Hizai asked. She also wanted to know whether what she was doing at the moment had some practical and obvious effects on this world. As long as our research is successful, we can definitely deal with death Karl. Li Qingyun didn't know how to kill the phantom, but he was sure that the technology that transcends the dimensional universe and the space is definitely far superior to the phantom technology of death Karl. It's good that you are so confident. Hizai herself didn't know the specific situation, but since Li Qingyun was so sure of this, she was willing to give it a try. Moreover, after coming into contact with a microcosm and space dimension technology, she also witnessed with her own eyes the power of this space dimension technology, so she also believed that once this research was completed, it would definitely be able to crush all the technologies of the super god universe at this stage. During the time you went out to fight, I conducted a detailed analysis of the microcosm. This is the latest data. Hizai presented a piece of data information in front of Li Qingyun while speaking. The scale of the microcosm. Li Qingyun only took a glance and found one of the most critical problems. Yes, the scale of the microcosm has shrunk, Hizai nodded and said. Although this shrinkage is extremely small, and even our astronomical computer can hardly detect it, there is no doubt that it has indeed shrunk, Hizai said. Hizai has always been very rigorous in doing things, so when Li Qingyun set out to deal with Hu Yi and Ban Molan, and gave the job of analyzing the specific data of the small universe to Hizai conducted a comprehensive exploration of the small universe with great care. In the end, among all the data, Hizai found this tiny, extremely slight difference. In a series of more than millions of digits, there is only a deviation between one number, and only the astronomical computer can find the difference, and only Hizai will pay attention to this small difference and then accurately calculate the specific results. From the data, the shrinkage effect should be caused by the cosmic membrane that we have deprived. When Hizai spoke, he took out the energy of the cosmic membrane, and at this time, the cosmic membrane energy was sealed in a special space storage device. After all, it was a tiny bit that Li Qingyun and Hizai had spent a lot of effort to get, so they naturally had to be extremely careful and cautious to keep it properly. What will cause this small universe to shrink must be the deprivation of the energy of the universe membrane, but the question is, how big is the gap between this energy loss and the shrinking of the size of the small universe? What Li Qingyun needs to figure out most now is not a question of whether the small universe will shrink when the energy membrane is stripped off, but how much this shrinkage will be. I'm afraid it will take another half a month to calculate the detailed data, Hizai said. After all, this is calculating the mass and size of an entire small universe, And the amount of calculation is too large, I added. Small universe, although it is small, it is still an independent universe, and its scale and mass are still huge, which is still unimaginable for ordinary people. Okay, I understand, Li Qingyun nodded, and he didn't think there was anything wrong with this situation. Do you need me to use the Red Star series to replace the space-based computing group? Li Qingyun asked. No need, the Mellow Heaven is very safe at this stage, I shook his head. With Li Qingyun here and having just experienced 2 battles that destroyed civilization, who would have the courage to invade the Mellow Heaven? Chapter 305 begins the practical application of the cosmic membrane. In the next half-month, Li Qingyun and I conducted a complete data analysis of the entire small universe. This is a huge project. With the computing efficiency of the space-based computing group, it still consumed more energy than the instantaneous explosion of 13 stars to achieve it. Fortunately, the computing blessing is carried out through the data of the angel silver star. Otherwise, if the energy of a small part of the star is extracted alone, I am afraid that more than 10 suns will be gone, I sighed. The amount of computing this time is even greater than when the Holy Kesha's knowledge treasure house was looking for the successor of the Angel King. In fact, the efficiency of astronomical computers in the application of energy is somewhat insufficient. Li Qingyun actually noticed this problem when he was in the Marvel Universe. At that time, he had an astronomical computer clock, but when using the energy of the clock to do many things, there was still a certain gap between the energy consumed and the actual impact. Therefore, Li Qingyun knew that the astronomical computer was insufficient in terms of energy application efficiency. But the problem is that it is difficult to find a way to make up for this shortcoming at this stage. After all, this is a nebula-level material computer, which is extremely large in size. In addition, it absorbs energy from the universe and then transforms it through the celestial computer for application. The energy loss caused by this back and forth is naturally very serious. It is impossible for everything in this world to be perfect. In many cases, we can only weigh the pros and cons. As long as the pros outweigh the cons, we can apply it. I also expressed his opinion on this. I understand this, Li Qingyun nodded and said. This time, we still adopt the same attitude in developing space dimension technology using the cosmic membrane. As long as the loss caused by the consumption of this cosmic membrane is not as good as the benefits we can get from it, we can continue, but if the final result of this research is that the loss caused by the consumption of the entire cosmic membrane is far greater than the benefits we can get, we don't need to continue the follow-up research. Although Li Qingyun really wants to study the space dimension technology and wants to apply the cosmic membrane to a supergene and dark matter plane, if the result of this research is to sacrifice the entire microcosm in exchange, then he will not accept it. After all, the microcosm itself is an extremely useful independent space. Li Qingyun could have achieved many things based on it. If his research led to the disappearance of the microcosm, and the dark matter plane space that could be opened up was less than 1,000th of the microcosm, then what was the meaning of this space dimension technology? Well, the results are out, I nodded and said, while showing the latest data. The scale of the loss of the entire microcosm is 1/1000th of the original overall scale. Li Qingyun looked at the data and fell into thought. 1/1000th, it seems that only a small part has been lost, but the amount of cosmic membrane obtained is only the size of a palm. I turned around and looked at the small ball of cosmic membrane floating in the universe. I wonder how much dark matter plane space this size of cosmic membrane can open up for us. What Li Qingyun and his team can see now is only the loss of the microcosm caused by the peeling of the cosmic membrane, but they have not seen the benefits that this cosmic membrane can bring to them. Therefore, the cosmic membrane still needs to be developed further. At least we need to see how much dark matter space it will bring to them when it is actually applied to the dark matter plane space. Are you planning to start the application test of this cosmic membrane now? I looked at Li Qingyun. Only when we apply this cosmic membrane can we know whether the benefits it can bring us can catch up with the consumption of the small universe itself, Li Qingyun said. Well, you have a point, I nodded, indicating his agreement with Li Qingyun's words. In order to calculate the gains and losses in this process, we naturally have to test it in person and get the final result. Then, let's start. Li Qingyun waved his hand casually and called the cosmic membrane in front of him. One hand gently touched the edge of the cosmic membrane and watched the energy on it swimming between his fingers. He had a feeling that this cosmic membrane might not only be applied to the dark matter plane space, it should also act on the divine body. A new level of divine body will be realized soon, a divine body that completely surpasses the universe itself and reaches the so-called single universe level in the Marvel Universe. This plan will definitely be realized. Li Qingyun was determined to think so. After that, he and his eye were completely immersed in it. They were studying together how to specifically apply this cosmic membrane, and they were doing their best to develop the cosmic membrane. At the same time, outside the distant planet Fraser, a pair of huge demon wings appeared in the starry sky. These were the demon wings of the demon army. After leaving the solar system where the Earth was located, the demon king Morgana led her demon army to come here after a short rest and upgrade. Morgana's target was the angel crown prince in Fraser, Inezid. Queen, we just received news that the Heavenly Palace King Hui went to attack the Mellow Heavenly Palace after his comeback, but he was directly flattened by the two sky blades led by Li Qingyun, Sword Demon Atuo reported to Morgana. It's flattened just like that. Morgana looked up in shock. This is Hui, the king of the Heavenly Palace, and he must have led a large army to attack the Mellow Heavenly Palace. How could he be wiped out in such a short time? Hui was killed by Li Qingyun, and Ruining also died at the hands of Angel Leng. Even if the Xiangong group has not been completely wiped out, there is no one who can organize them, Atuo said. There are only 2 or 3 people in the Xiangong group who can take the lead. Su Mali was directly eliminated by Li Qingyun when he was on Earth. Now Hui and Ruining were killed one after another. How can the entire Xiangong group find someone who can unite all the scum of the sky? It's okay to die, it's no big deal anyway. Morgana didn't care much about this. Anyway, in her eyes, Hui was just a loser. Even with the support of the god of death Karl, he couldn't make much trouble. Chapter 306 The New Angel King and the Demon King meet. What's the situation in Fraser? Have you detected any angels stationed there? Morgana is only concerned about Aniside now. She just wants to know whether she can influence the future angel crown prince. We can't detect specific data, but from the current situation, there must be angels here. Atuo has been investigating for a long time, outside Fraser, outside the Holy Kingdom of Elah. How did you confirm it? Morgana asked. The Holy Kingdom of Elah has made it public that their queen is an angel candidate, and there is information that Aniside has begun to participate in the angel test and has begun to work hard on the road to becoming an angel. Atuo explained that he personally learned about these data. Has the angel test begun? Morgana was a little surprised. According to the original rules of the angels, shouldn't Aniside first complete her life experience as an ordinary person, and then slowly become an angel? This process should last at least 1,000 years. Morgana herself was originally an angel, and she knew very well how the Holy Kesha tested the angels. We don't know what happened, but there is no doubt that Aniside is preparing to become an angel now. Atuo didn't know much about angels, but these were all what they found out, and the source of information was absolutely reliable. Because the entire Holy Elah Kingdom had long been spread that their queen was actually the next angel king chosen by the angels they believed in. Now, everyone in the entire Holy Elah Kingdom has already respected angels and justice. You stay here, I have to go and see for myself. Morgana had to go and see what was going on over there. Yes, Atuo agreed, and then turned around and left. After Atuo left, Morgana immediately adjusted her makeup and turned herself into the appearance of an angel in the past, that is, the cold and icy posture, and then entered Fraser. She did not appear directly in the capital of the Holy Elah Kingdom, nor did she appear in front of Aniside, but chose to appear in the marginal area first. She needed to understand the situation reported by Atuo first, and then judge how to meet Aniside. Morgana simply walked around and confirmed what Atuo said. Aniside had indeed known about the identity of the angel prince for a long time, and was already preparing to become an angel. This is really amazing. It actually changed the growth plan of Aniside that Keisha had originally set. What exactly does this new Skyblade King Yan want to do? Morgana came to the bottom of the palace and looked up at the castle in front of her. That was Aniside's palace. The target she was originally going to target, the angel prince Aniside, was inside. Yan, do you want to come out and explain to me what is going on? Morgana said, and at the same time, the dark energy on her body began to release. She was actively exposing her identity and her position so that the angels could detect her existence. Morgana, Yan soon appeared in the air. She lowered her head and looked down at Morgana below. Yes, it's me, Morgana agreed, but she did not change her posture. What are you doing here? Yan's face was very alert. Angel Zhu and Angel Moi also appeared beside her at this time. Moreover, compared with Angel Yan's barehanded state, these two people were obviously more alert. They took out the flaming swords directly and stared at Morgana. This was a posture of attacking Morgana directly if they disagreed. I originally wanted to see if this Inezid had a chance to become a demon, but now the result is a little beyond my expectations. Morgana did not hide it, because there was no point in hiding such a thing. Come, sit down first, let's have a good chat, Morgana said, and then she directly moved a huge stone throne behind her. After she sat down, she also moved out another throne and placed it in front of her. She even moved a table and a table full of delicious food. The Demon King and the Angel King had another face-to-face communication. This time Morgana hoped to find a good result, instead of a fight to the death like in the past when she talked with Holy Kisha. Queen Yan Gang wanted to go down, but the angels who beside him stopped him. It's okay, the current Angel Yan is no longer the previous Holy Left Wing Guard. She is now the Angel King, the new Skyblade King who inherited Keisha's title. Facing the former Apocalypse King Liangbing, she naturally couldn't admit defeat. Landing from mid-air, Yan sat on the throne opposite Morgana. At the same time, Angel Zhu and Angel Moi also flew down and stood on the left and right of Angel Yan, just like Angel Yan and Angel Zhuxin guarded the left and right of Holy Keisha in the past. Are these two the new Holy Wings? It seems that their strength is far inferior to Yuan's Zhuxin. Morgana only took a glance and was sure of the strength of Angel Zhu and Angel Moi. Especially Angel Moi, she is just a third-generation super warrior. With this fighting power, you can find a group of people who are comparable to her in the demon army. How can she live up to the title of Holy Wings? They are still in the upgrade stage. What you see is just their current state, Angel Yan said. Angel Zhu and Angel Moi are not strong enough now. Angel Yan knows this. But the problem is that the combat power of two sacred wings cannot be upgraded just by upgrading. It takes a process. That's right. You have only been the King of Angels for more than a year. The one called Zhuxin was originally a sacred wing with you. You are embarrassed to let her be your sacred wing. As for some other powerful old angels, I am afraid they are still not convinced by you, right? Morgana knew very well what kind of existence the group of old angels in Mellow Heaven were. Angel Yan was just a young warrior who was only more than 7,000 years old. He suddenly became the King of Angels from a sacred left wing guard. How could those old angels who lived for 20,000 to 30,000 years submit to her so easily? Are you Oning dared to take Cheyenne Sohui back to Mellow Heaven? Did he see this point? Chapter 307 Are you threatening me? The angel army has always been harmonious. You don't need to use these little tricks to guess about us here. Angel Yan knew that Morgana was mocking her, but even if she really had such a thing, she would not let Morgana mention it. I have more important things to do now, and I don't have the heart to chat with you. She was just reminding Morgana that if she had something important, she should say it quickly, otherwise she would leave directly. What a serious guy, not funny at all. Morgana shook her head helplessly, feeling a little helpless about Angel Yan's tough attitude at the moment. Why, this new Angel King must learn the style of Holy Kisha. You must know the original intention of my coming to Fraser, Morgana said. I want to infect Inezid and let her fall to the side of you demons. How could Angel Yan not know Morgana's thoughts? In the original book, when she was not in such a good situation as now, she still came to Fraser as soon as possible. Wasn't it also to protect Inezid's safety? Yes, I originally wanted to fight for it, but now, she has directly become an angel candidate and has begun to officially participate in the training of angels. This is different from Keisha's style. I'm afraid you have forcibly changed Keisha's plan. Morgana looked at the Angel Yan opposite her. She now needs to figure out what the new Angel King is thinking. This is indeed not Queen Keisha's arrangement. We changed the original plan. You? Morgana immediately grasped the key point in this sentence. All these changes were not simply decided by Angel Yan alone. Could it be that Izai also agreed to your arrangement? In the current Mellow Heaven, although Yan is the new Angel King, there is no doubt that more power of the entire angel army should still be in the hands of Izai. If things like the training plan of the Angel Crown Prince were not agreed by Izai, how could Angel Yan change it so casually? Yes, Angel Yan nodded. Why would you change such an important plan so easily? Morgana couldn't understand why the two leaders of the Angel Legion would suddenly make such a decision. There's no need to tell you about this. Angel Yan refused to answer Morgana's question. Can't you tell me? Morgana felt more and more that there was something wrong. But what exactly was this problem? What could have made Angel Yan and his eye suddenly decide to change the training plan for Genocide that Holy Kesha had decided on? If there were no special circumstances, something like training an Angel King would definitely take thousands of years to train slowly. Now, it is obviously unreasonable to directly expose everything to Genocide and spare no effort to make Genocide an angel as quickly as possible. The growth method, like those super soldiers in the Xiangbin Company on Earth, can easily lead to deviations. Your plan to win over Genocide has failed. If you don't want to start a war here, please leave now, Angel Yan urged. The reason why she was willing to sit and chat with Morgana here was not because she regarded Morgana as a friend or something, but because it was not suitable for a large interstellar war to break out in Fraser at present. This was only an era of cold weapons. If an interstellar war broke out, the damage caused would be huge. At the same time, Genocide had just taken over the identity of an angel, and her angel genes were still matching. That is to say, Genocide was still an ordinary person. The war between gods, any impact, could be fatal to Genocide. It was for these reasons that Angel Yan did not want to go to war with the demon army directly here, and that was why she was sitting here and talking with Morgana. Leave just like that? Aren't you thinking everything is too simple? Morgana drove the entire demon army here. At this time, it was confirmed that Genocide had become an angel, so Genocide would be a huge threat to their demon army in the future. At this time, the best way to deal with it is to directly launch a war against Fraser and eliminate Angel Yan and Inezid, the two current and future Angel Kings. You want to start a war here? Have you thought about the consequences? Angel Yan's face condensed, and his tone of voice became a little cold. Consequences? What consequences can there be? Morgana didn't care about Fraser being affected. After all, fighting an interstellar war would affect ordinary people. Your demon army should have collected some information about major events in the universe now, right? Angel Yan asked back, and Morgana's face turned ugly after hearing her question. Morgana heard the meaning of this. The Heavenly Palace King Huai and the mottled blue civilization of the Triangle were eliminated one after another more than a month ago. I believe your demon army has already inquired about this news, Angel Yan was warning Morgana. She wanted Morgana to realize that what she was facing at this moment was not just a simple Angel King Yan, but the chaos god Li Qingyun behind him. With Morgana's strength and the strength of her demon army, she might not be afraid of herself, let alone the dozen angel warriors on Fraser's side. But if Morgana takes action, it will force the angel army and the demon army to go to war immediately. The whole universe knows how close the relationship between Mellow Heaven is now with Li Qingyun. The god of chaos personally took action and led the angel army to kill the Heavenly Palace King Huai and destroy the entire mottled blue civilization. This has long been spread with the escape of many male angels and Teotihuacan soldiers. So, if the demon army and the angel army go to war now, Li Qingyun, who has been in Mellow Heaven, will not be indifferent. At that time, when the angel army arrives, Li Qingyun will definitely come with him. Morgana is not afraid of Angel Yan, but is she not afraid of Li Qingyun? Are you threatening me? Morgana knew what Angel Yan meant, but because she knew it, she was very angry at the moment. I don't need to emphasize to you how powerful the god of chaos is. I'm sure you are also very clear about the relationship between him and our angel legion. Angel Yan was not afraid of Morgana's anger at the moment. She even went a step further to warn the Demon King. Chapter 308 The Devil Never Gives Up. Morgana left, and she led the demon army and directly withdrew from the star field where Fraser was. At this moment, she was holding back a breath of anger. She actually withdrew from Fraser in such a humiliating way because of the threat of Angel Yan. She, the dignified Demon King, had to choose to retreat today because of fear of the power of a man. Damn it, Morgana punched the table hard, smashing the table made of special materials directly. Queen, Achuo, Atai, Hefang and other demons all turned their heads to look at her at this moment. Too aggrieved, Morgana never disguised her emotions in front of these loyal subordinates. Depravity, freedom, eternity, these are the beliefs of their demon civilization. How could they deliberately disguise their emotions when they pursue freedom at all costs? Queen, if you feel resentful, I will lead the large army to kill back and flatten the Angel Yan and the entire Fraser. Achuo drew the sword behind him, and the sword demon Achuo officially went online. Kill them back? Do you want our demon army to be wiped out again? Morgana retorted directly. She knew that Achuo wanted to vent her anger, but if she could vent her anger, she would do it herself. Why would she need Achuo to do it for her? Isn't it just Li Qingyun? Even if he is powerful, can't our entire demon army deal with him?" Zuyi also spoke. She had been watching for a long time, and knew that the queen she loved the most in her heart was feeling bad at the moment. Therefore, Zuyi, like Achuo, advocated to kill Fraser directly and cut both Angel Yan and Ain aside into pieces. "Will having more people be useful?" Morgana looked at Zuyi, and there was a hint of warning in her tone. She was warning this Hunter Blade user who was a little too arrogant. When it comes to war of gods, the word quantity becomes insignificant. A powerful god can fight against an entire civilization with his own strength. Otherwise, do you think that there is only one Snow in the Death Song Academy of the Death God Carl? How can he be ranked among the 4 main gods of civilization? Morgana was educating Zuyi, letting this very few female demons in the demon army who had followed her for more than 10,000 years understand a truth. Strength is not absolutely linked to quantity. I know the strength of the God of Chaos very well. His current strength is probably not even comparable to the original Holy Kisha. If he really participates in the war between the Angel Legion and our Demon Legion, we have no way to fight against him. Morgana knew this, so she chose to retreat obediently in the face of the threat of Angel Yan. Are we going to give up? We finally destroyed Holy Kisha, but nothing has changed at all. Zuyi didn't dare to say anything like going back to fight with Angel Yan, but the problem now is that their Demon Legion must take action. In the past 10,000 years, they have fought with the Angel Legion and Holy Kesha with all their might. Now, after much difficulty, Holy Kesha has been destroyed by them, and the entire Angel Legion is at its most vulnerable time in 30,000 years. But at such a critical moment, which is obviously the best time for the Demon Legion to rise, they cannot make any move against the Angel Legion. Isn't this equivalent to missing this opportunity in vain, allowing the entire Angel Legion to recover again, and then continue to suppress them in the future? We demons will never be suppressed all the time. Morgana is not the kind of person who does not resist at all when being bullied. It can even be said that she is the opposite of that kind of person. She knows that Holy Kesha is extremely powerful, but she can fight Holy Kesha with all her might for more than 10,000 years, and has been fighting until now that Kesha has fallen. Now, it's just that the target to deal with has changed. The person she wants to challenge has changed from Holy Kesha to the God of Chaos. It's just that the target has changed. Give the order, let all the demon warriors return to their respective posts. We will return to the state of war, Morgana said. After the fall of Holy Kesha, she was actually in a state of recuperation. More than half of the demon warriors in the entire demon army had entered a peaceful resting environment, and Morgana would not assign them any tasks. But now, this situation has to change. The angel army did not lose its threat because of the fall of Holy Kesha. In fact, because of Li Qingyun, it has become a greater threat to the demon army. Therefore, Morgana must find a way to solve these troubles. This time we have to change our strategy. What we need is not a powerful army, but a group of extremely powerful warriors. Ado, you go and select the 20 most elite warriors. I will upgrade them to gods, equip them with the strongest weapons, and devote more resources to make them stronger than the heroic soldiers and high-level guardian angels. The combat strategies that Morgana implemented in the demon army in the past were all based on the tactics of the entire army, relying on the cooperation between each other to effectively suppress the target. Because, with the support of the technology of demon gene reincarnation, Morgana can make the warriors of the demon army quickly resurrect through demon gene implantation after each war. Therefore, Morgana is not worried about the sacrifice of demon warriors on the battlefield, and will naturally take advantage of the number of people to play the tactical crushing effect on the battlefield. But now facing Li Qingyun and the heroic soldiers on Earth, she realized that simple tactical suppression has begun to fail. On the day of the attack on the Giant Gorge, and the decapitation attack on Liu Chuang and others, their demon army had an absolute advantage in numbers and was tactically crushed. But in the end, the decapitation operation against Liu Chuang and others failed completely. If Li Qingyun had not taken action, the Galaxy Force would not have been able to take action in the attack on the Giant Gorge, and I am afraid it would have failed. At that time, there were only a few real warriors on the Giant Gorge, Sun Wukong, Cheng Yaowen, Zhao Xin. But these few people took care of all the key points, making them very difficult even if they were tactically crushed. Therefore, the personal combat effectiveness of super soldiers and the role they can play on the battlefield have become increasingly important. Chapter 309 The Devil's Will. Fraser, in the palace of the Holy Allen Kingdom. Angel Yan was connecting to the communication from Mellow Heaven at this moment, and she was talking to Li Qingyun. Morgana has left, and the Demon Legion has also withdrawn from the star field where Fraser is, Angel Yan said. It's better not to take it lightly. As far as I know Morgana, she is not the kind of person who will give up easily. What's more, you forced her to leave in such a strong attitude this time. Li Qingyun looked at the people and things in this world as a time traveler, so he could easily see some problems hidden behind this incident. Although it seems that it is just a simple expulsion of the Demon King Morgana to protect Fraser's safety. But in fact, Morgana clearly realized the relationship between the Angel Legion and Li Qingyun because of this incident. It will also be realized that although the Demon Legion has won the battle with the Angel Legion and destroyed the Holy Kisha, they are still in a weak position. Did I do something wrong? Angel Yan listened to what Li Qingyun said at this moment, and subconsciously felt that he had done something wrong. You did the right thing. In that situation, you really had to show your strong side to intimidate Morgana and force her to withdraw. Otherwise, once the two of you go to war in Fraser, the entire Fraser will be affected, and the angel belief system you just established in Fraser will suffer huge losses. Moreover, judging from the previous combat style of the Demon Legion, once they start, they will definitely give priority to solving those important targets that can be solved. Initiate has just begun to adapt to the angel gene and has not yet officially become an angel. If the Demon Legion wants to deal with her, just any bullet is enough. Li Qingyun understood Angel Yan's situation at the time. He knew that in that situation, only this method was the safest for Angel Yan. So, how could he think that Angel Yan was wrong? What Li Qingyun is thinking about now is just what Morgana will do next. Demons are different from celestial scum. The celestial scum are a group of losers. Although Hui's appearance can gather these celestial scum to a certain extent, in fact, the order of the Heavenly Palace has long ceased to exist, and their beliefs have long collapsed. Demons are completely different. In the past 10,000 years, they have been united under their demonic beliefs and gathered around the Demon King Morgana. This situation makes the faith in every demon's heart extremely firm. They are absolutely loyal to Morgana, and have accumulated extremely rich combat experience in the war that has lasted for tens of thousands of years. They have a tenacious will to fight against the celestial scum. We only need to eliminate the two main guys, Hui and Ruining, and the entire celestial scum group will collapse. But to fight against the demon army, unless we wipe out the entire demon civilization, we will never be able to completely eliminate them. In addition, there is a more important question, that is, after Morgana is defeated by us this time, will he go to find the god of death Karl and join forces with him again to fight against us? Li Qingyun analyzed all these details to Angel Yan, and after listening to all this, Angel Yan finally understood the real key to this incident. Kesha led our angel court to defeat the demons many times, but each time the demons would come back. And each time they would be more difficult to deal with. Angel Yan had personally experienced all this. It is better to ease than to block. If we really want to go to war with the demon core, it will be a war that will last for thousands or even tens of thousands of years, which is not good for us, Li Qingyun said. Do you mean, do we want to make peace with the demon core? We have been hating them for many years. Angel Yan's tone was a little low. She was the king of angels, and he was the heir to the mantle of the Holy Kisha. Now she did not directly attack the demons because there were more important things to do. But this does not mean that Angel Yan does not intend to fight with the demon core again. Angels and demons are only different in concept, but they are similar in ideology. The real problem depends on their respective leaders. Li Qingyun had seen with his own eyes the scene of angels and demons starting to cooperate, although it was only a cooperation between the top leaders of both sides. But there is no doubt that there is a possibility of peaceful coexistence between the two civilizations. And the key to all this lies in its leader. Under the command of Du Qiangwei, the demon army, although they are demons, no longer have such strong demonic nature, and they also love their hometown and have people they want to protect in their hearts. But now, the demon army is still led by Morgana, and this demon king has already become a little crazy because of the extreme thoughts in his heart. Let's stop talking here today. I have to go and discuss with two people about how to deal with Morgana's matter. Li Qingyun felt that at this time, he still had to go and talk to those two guys. Are you going to find the principal of space and Queen Kisha? Angel Yan knew Li Qingyun's situation. He knew that Li Qingyun had a way to contact the principal of space and the angel king, Holy Kisha, who they thought had fallen, at any time. Well, the space principal seems to have some other expectations from Morgana. The ideas between Keisha and Morgana are the key to the two civilizations going to extremes. So, I will go to talk to them and maybe find a more effective solution, Li Qingyun said. Then, can you take me with you? Angel Yan really wanted to see Holy Keisha again. In fact, she still had a lot of things to ask Holy Keisha. The two of them are now in a very special state. You can't see them. Li Qingyun was not unwilling to take Angel Yan, but the problem was that Angel Yan couldn't communicate with him at all. Okay then, Angel Yan said a little disappointed. She knew Li Qingyun's attitude towards her. He even told her the secret that he was originally from another world. How could he be unwilling to let her meet Holy Keisha and the Space Principal? Well, if you have anything to say to Keisha, I can take it to you, Li Qingyun said. No need. Angel Yan shook her head and didn't say her true thoughts directly. Chapter 310. Next time is farewell. Soon, Li Qingyun came to the space, found a relatively open space, a space with relatively abundant energy, and then began to summon the Space Principal and Holy Keisha. These two guys, one is hidden in the cracks of the dimensional dimension, and the other has been integrated with the entire Super God universe. Only Li Qingyun can open the communication channel between them through special methods, so that they can appear in front of him again. I think you all know the reason why I came to you this time, Li Qingyun said. This is not the first time he has communicated with his Space Principal and Holy Keisha. Moreover, the abilities of these two people can originally observe everything in the universe. Naturally, they should have known about the conversation between the Demon King Morgana and the Angel Yan. I came for Lianbing, the Space Principal sighed. Lianbing, more than 10,000 years have passed, and her wish has been fulfilled, but she still stubbornly sticks to her own ideas and thoughts. Keisha also sighed. She thought that if she chose to face death and choose to be what she is now, Morgana might be able to return to the appearance of Lianbing. But now it seems that everything is too simple. Aren't you the same as her? Li Qingyun raised his head and looked at the sacred Keisha, who is now condensing a virtual projection. Yes, I am just as stubborn, otherwise how could I have come to this point today? Keisha is now open-minded. She has already calmly accepted the ending of death. What else can't she let go of? I came here today to see what you two think about this matter. I want to know, if it were you, how would you face the problem of Morgana and the Demon Legion? Li Qingyun himself has not yet figured out how to deal with the Demon Legion. After all, this is a civilization with a very strong belief and scattered all over the universe. Even if Li Qingyun is very strong, it is very difficult to find them out and eradicate them completely. Of course, he can also find the Demon Legion's lair directly like he did with the Shianso group and the Mottled Blue civilization, and kill Morgana and all the cadres of the Demon Legion. In this way, at least within 1,000 years, it will be difficult for the demon army to gather together again and pose a threat to the angel army. But the problem is also obvious, that is, the remaining demons scattered on various planets and regions throughout the universe will completely break free from their shackles, and they will probably do everything they can to retaliate. Of course, they will not jump out and seek death in a short time, after all, demons are not fools. But they will endure for 1,000 years, they will secretly take root and infiltrate on various planets, and then continue to grow and develop. From then on, the entire Super God universe will experience catastrophes caused by demons again and again. Li Qingyun planned to let the angels Yan and Hezai train in it in the next 10 years, and then take them away from the Super God universe directly. He was leaving, and he couldn't leave this mess for the later ones. This was too unkind. Don't you already know a way to change them? Keisha looked at Li Qingyun. As a traverser, Li Qingyun must be very clear about how the demon army changed later. You mean, let me use the events that will happen in the original storyline to influence the subsequent direction of the Demon Legion? Li Qingyun looked at Keisha in surprise. This mortal enemy of the Demon King actually wanted him to help Morgana turn back at this time? Lianbing's thoughts may be very extreme. She has done many wrong things in the past 10,000 years, but her talent is still outstanding, and her heart is still an angel, but she is blinded by anger and fear. You go and guide her, let her restore the angel side of her heart, and then train Du Qiangwei so that she can replace Morgana. Okay, I understand what you mean, but how to do it specifically is my business. Li Qingyun already knew Keisha's thoughts, and also knew the thoughts of the Space Principal. It's nothing more than not wanting the Angel Legion and the Demon Legion to continue to be hostile to each other, causing years of fighting and endless wars. Seeing Li Qingyun say this, Keisha didn't say anything else. Keisha was in the wrong regarding Morgana's matter, and her willful choice to die disrupted all of Li Qingyun's plans. Therefore, Keisha had no reason to refuse Li Qingyun's request. By the way, Yan wanted me to ask you, do you think it's inappropriate for her to start training an Izid to become the king of angels in advance? Li Qingyun asked, but in fact, Angel Yan did not ask Li Qingyun to ask these questions. However, Li Qingyun understood Yan's thoughts. She was afraid of disappointing Keisha's expectations of her, and she didn't want Li Qingyun to think that a relationship with her would have a negative impact on her, so she chose to bear this inner struggle alone. Li Qingyun knew this, so how could he ignore it completely? So at this moment, on behalf of Angel Yan, he expressed his doubts to Keisha. From the moment I decided to let her take over the position of Angel King, I had absolute trust in her. No matter what she chooses to do or how she does it, I will have no objection and will fully support her, Keisha gave a positive reply. In fact, she had long known about Angel Yan's arrangement for an Izid, and she also knew that Angel Yan had been struggling in her heart during this period, because she had mentioned it to Angel Zhu around her many times. Keisha can now observe almost all the information she wants to observe in the universe at any time, so she can also know about the private conversations between Angel Yan and Angel Zhu in the middle of the night. Well, I think so too. Li Qingyun was not surprised by Keisha's answer. But you still want to ask for Yan, so that Yan can feel at ease, right? Keisha smiled, and she was relieved that Li Qingyun was so concerned about Angel Yan. At least, her students followed Li Qingyun and did not follow the wrong person. The next time we meet will probably be before I return to the Marvel Universe. You can think about what you plan to do next. After all, when you go to other worlds, you can't exist in the origin of the universe as an observer like you do now. After Li Qingyun finished speaking, he casually dispelled the dimensional communication force field. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311. What's there to be embarrassed about? After finishing the conversation with the space principal and Holy Keisha, Li Qingyun returned to Mellow Heaven. In the next half-month, he and his eye completed the last important experiment, which was to apply the cosmic membrane to practical things. At the same time, Li Qingyun asked his eye to open a space worm bridge terminal between Mellow Heaven and the Earth. In the following time, Li Qingyun needs to travel back and forth between the Earth and Mellow Heaven from time to time. Because, in Li Qingyun's subsequent plan to deal with the Demon Legion, it will be led by the Xiangbinglian instead of the Angel Legion. In fact, the grievances between the Angel Legion and the Demon Legion are too deep. In this case, the Angel Legion is still allowed to lead various affairs between the Demon Legion. The final result will inevitably lead to a larger-scale battle between the two legions. Finally back home, after returning to Earth, Qilin sighed with great emotion. She has spent several months with Li Qingyun in Mellow Heaven. During these months, she could not do anything except training in her own place and chatting with Rena and others. Now that she is back on Earth, at least in the future, she can participate in the development plan of the entire Earth civilization and prepare to protect the Earth with other people in the Xiangbing Company. Du Qiang Wei, He Weilin, Wei Ying and others came to Qilin at this moment, looking at her with a very gossipy look. What's wrong with you? Qilin suddenly realized that she might become the topic of everyone's laughter again this time. We heard that when you were in Mellow Heaven, you talked to the Commander-in-Chief. Su Xiaoli didn't finish her words, but the meaningful expression and the smirks of the people behind her were enough to explain everything. What? I've been away for so long and just came back, and you want to torture me, Qilin said, but her face was gradually flushed at this moment. Why are you still pretending? Reyna has always lied with you. How could the things between you and the Commander-in-Chief have not been discovered in such a few months? Du Qiang what you said. Sister Na, Qilin looked at Reyna behind her. When they were in Mellow Heaven, they would still contact the people on Earth from time to time. Judging from the performance of these people now, it is clear that Reyna told her situation when she contacted Qiang Wei and others. It's okay for everyone to know. After all, it's a good thing, isn't it? Reyna smiled. She didn't think she did anything wrong in revealing the relationship between Qilin and Li Qingyun. But, it was too embarrassing. Qilin wanted to say this, but she couldn't say it in the end. Qiang Wei, come with me, Li Qingyun's voice suddenly came. Du Qiangwei, who originally wanted to continue to torture Qilin, immediately became serious. Yes, after agreeing, Du Qiangwei immediately turned around and walked towards Li Qingyun not far away. At the same time, the group of male warriors in the Xiangbing company who were originally beside Li Qingyun also retreated at this moment, leaving only Sun Wukong and Zhezailan. The identities of these two people are different from other warriors. The relationship between Sun Wukong and Li Qingyun was originally very good, and they are now the core leaders of the entire earth. As for Zhezailan, the whole universe knows that he has been trained as the main god of the earth, and even the entire Milky Way in the future. Li Qingyun and Sun Wukong have always attached great importance to the training of Zhezailan. Therefore, if there is anything important next, it is absolutely understandable that Zhezailan will participate in it. Commander-in-Chief, Du Qiangwei gave Li Qingyun a standard military salute. Well, follow me to the conference room first. Li Qingyun nodded, and then motioned Du Qiangwei to follow him. The four of them came to the conference room of the Black Great Wall base together. This time I came back to Earth mainly to deal with the affairs of the Demon Legion. In the conference room, Li Qingyun said the real purpose of his return. Demon Legion? Haven't they left the solar system? Du Qiangwei was a little surprised. She also realized the real purpose of Li Qingyun's coming here. After the previous battle with the Demon Legion, and after her father, General Du Kao, woke up, Du Qiangwei was fully aware of the relationship between herself and Morgana. This time Li Qingyun came back and said that he would deal with the matter of the Demon Legion specifically, and he also found her here specifically. This naturally involved her. The Demon Legion is indeed no longer in the solar system, and the possibility of a direct war with our Earth in the future is not very high, Li Qingyun said. But the problem now is that the contradiction between the Demon Legion and the Angel Legion has become more and more intense, and the Demon King Morgana is very likely to side with the Death God Karl. Li Qingyun wants to deal with the Demon Legion, or more precisely, Morgana, so the best way is to use Du Qiangwei's identity to make a fuss. But before doing all this, he must first let Du Qiangwei understand his intentions. He must make sure whether Du Qiangwei herself is willing to do all this. Leaning to the side of Karl the God of Death? Haven't they always been in the same group? Du Qiangwei still remembered that the demon army had joined forces with Karl the God of Death to attack the Great Canyon and the Holy Kisha. They did join forces, but at that time they had a common enemy and it was a temporary alliance. In fact, there is no real alliance between the demon army and the Styx group. On the contrary, they have always been wary of each other, Li Qingyun explained. If things develop normally, the final result should be that the Styx group has an absolute technological advantage and begins to gradually show its ambition to swallow up the universe, and the demon army has to stand up and fight against them. But now, because of my appearance, the biggest threat to the entire universe has changed from Karl the God of Death's Styx group to the alliance between the Earth and the angels that I have connected. Morgana and her demon army cannot compete with us, so in order to strive for balance, she has to move closer to Karl the God of Death. Li Qingyun's explanation has made Du Qiangwei understand the current situation. But now she doesn't understand. Since this is already the trend, what could Li Qingyun be looking for her to discuss secretly at this time? Chapter 312 If they don't obey, then fight. My goal is to win over the Demon King Morgana and make the demon army fall to our side, Li Qingyun directly said his true thoughts. Win over the demon. Du Qiangwei was a little surprised, and even Sun Wukong and Zhezailan beside her were also very surprised at this time. You mean to let the demons join forces with us? Is this different from trying to get the skin of a tiger? Sun Wukong expressed his confusion. The relationship between him and Li Qingyun made him speak frankly without any scruples when facing such things. If it is just a simple cooperation, it is indeed trying to get the skin of a tiger, Li Qingyun said. What do you mean by this? Sun Wukong was also confused, because he couldn't see through what Li Qingyun was going to do. My real idea is to let Qiangwei become the new demon king of the demon army. Huh? Du Qiangwei and Zhezailan both shouted in shock. Even Sun Wukong, who had seen the world, looked at Li Qingyun with a look of surprise and confusion. Letting a super soldier of the hero company be the demon king of the demon army, isn't this just a foolish dream? Don't think this is weird, but this is actually what should have happened. Li Qingyun smiled, and didn't think there was any problem with the reactions of the three people. Qiangwei, you must have known the relationship between you and Morgana by now, right? Li Qingyun looked at Du Qiangwei. I know, But she just designed the time and space gene. I just have a genetic ability that happened to be researched by her, which doesn't mean that there should be any relationship between her and me, although Du Qiangwei didn't have a paternal hatred with her like in the animation. But the demon army really sniped her biological father. If Yukin hadn't been there at the time and protected Du Kao at the critical moment, Du Qiangwei would have lost her father now. Moreover, the series of actions of the demon army on Earth have hurt many soldiers and ordinary people on Earth. Judging from these things, even if she, Du Qiangwei, didn't have a deep hatred with Morgana, she should never have become a good friend. Let me give you an example. If I hadn't appeared during the rise of the Earth, the entire Earth would have fallen into a doomsday disaster due to the attack of demons and Teodi. The survival of the entire Earth would depend on Morgana's thought. In this case, are you willing to give up your current identity in exchange with Morgana for a chance to save the Earth? Du Qiangwei hesitated. She is not a brainless, reckless man. On the contrary, she is a warrior with a strong sense of responsibility. If one day, she can only sacrifice herself in exchange for the peace of the Earth, she will probably choose to take this step without hesitation. Even if the result of doing so is likely to make the whole Earth think that she has become a traitor, she will still do it. Because, compared to her own reputation and personal feelings, she cares more about this planet. I know your choice very well, so I think you should be willing to do this. Li Qingyun did not directly say what Du Qiangwei's choice was, but everyone already understood what Du Qiangwei was thinking. Jezailan and Sun Wukong also chose to remain silent at this time. Now, the situation will not develop as I assumed. With me here, there will definitely be no doomsday crisis on Earth. But if there is really a chance for you to change a notorious civilization and make a large group of demons like them become warriors who love their homeland and abide by the law, would you be willing to miss it? The problem is, when I go to the Demon Legion, Morgana will be willing to let me be the next demon king of the Demon Legion. Will those demons really listen to me? Du Qiangwei already understood what Li Qingyun meant, but she still had concerns in her heart. That is it really possible for the Demon Legion to turn over a new leaf? If they don't want to, then just destroy their Demon Legion. It doesn't matter even if it takes thousands of years to eradicate all the remaining demons in the universe. Li Qingyun suddenly changed his tone, and immediately changed from the original gentle state to a strong look. The reason why he came to Du Qiangwei today and wanted Du Qiangwei to do all this was simply because he didn't want to spend too much time in this super god universe and didn't want to leave too much trouble for the younger generations who would lead this universe. The most important point is that Li Qingyun felt that this was a feasible direction, because in the original timeline, Du Qiangwei became the next demon king of the demon army. But if Morgana insisted on fighting the angel army to the end, if the demon army really couldn't be ruled by Du Qiangwei and couldn't be controlled by Du Qiangwei, then just do it. Li Qingyun has destroyed a Xiangong group and a modeled blue civilization one after another. He doesn't mind destroying one more demon civilization. This will be the last chance I give Morgana to choose. Is it to choose to train you together and let you become the new demon king to restrain that group of demons, or to completely give up the opportunity to turn from darkness to light, and then we will directly launch the final war against them? Li Qingyun said, and what he said at this moment was finally recognized by Sun Wukong. It was a different approach from the previous idea of only wanting the demon army to turn from darkness to light. This is to clearly draw a line for the demon army. If the other party agrees to walk along this line, they will eventually live in peace and move towards glory together. If the other party insists on going on the original path and wants to fight them to the end, then even if they start a war, it is reasonable. Brother Monkey, Xiaolan, we need to make preparations for both situations this time. I will let Qiangwei strive for the opportunity for these demons to converge on their own, but we must also be prepared to go to war with them at any time. So, in the next period of time, I need you to gather the troops on Earth and go to war with the demon army directly when necessary. Li Qingyun directly told Sun Wukong, Jezailan and Du Qiangwei at this moment. Don't worry, the Earth now is no longer the Earth before. Our soldiers have grown up, and the Black Armor Company has also formed a scale. If it really comes to the time when we have to go to war, we are fully capable of fighting them to the end, Sun Wukong said confidently. I'm also ready. Next time we fight, I will definitely perform well. Jezailan was equally confident. This man of galactic power had now mastered the power of the Void Controller, but he hadn't really fought against a strong enemy yet. Chapter 313 The Demon King's Solo Meeting. Having made the final decision, Li Qingyun began to look for clues about the Demon Legion in the universe. In other words, Li Qingyun was waiting for Morgana to contact him, because he had already conveyed his intentions to Morgana through some channels. Queen, have you really decided to meet the God of Chaos? Achuo asked. They had already received information from the Earth and knew that Li Qingyun was looking for them. He said that he wanted to discuss many issues about the Demon Legion and the rows of space and time with him. But this was asking Morgana to go to Earth to meet Li Qingyun. That was Earth. Today's Earth is no longer the Earth of the past. All the super soldiers of the entire SYNOPSIS company have been further developed and upgraded in the past period of time. Even the army on Earth has now been upgraded to a more powerful military branch than the soldiers of the Taodi Legion. The most important thing is Li Qingyun himself. As the God of Chaos, Li Qingyun had just killed Xian Sohui not long ago, and after some of the information was recollected and sorted out, they found that the eliminated Xian Sohui was not the one Lian Bing knew in the past. Hu Yi, who was killed by Li Qingyun, was upgraded to the 4th generation divine body, and also possessed the black hole engine developed by the god of death Karl himself. The 4th generation divine body is immortal to a certain extent, which is also the key to Morgana's ability to run rampant in the universe and not fear anyone. But who would have thought that Li Qingyun would have the ability to kill Hu Yi, who has the 4th generation divine body, without the need for a large-scale killing move such as a supernova. Li Qingyun's ability to kill Hu Yi also means that he has the ability to kill Morgana. In this case, how dare the demons let Morgana go to see Li Qingyun? Yes, I have to go and see this god of chaos. Morgana's attitude was also firm. For the sake of the time and space rows, she was willing to take risks. But the current god of chaos, if we are afraid of the god of chaos, we dare not contact him, then how can we go to war with them later? Morgana interrupted Achuo's words. We both agreed that this time it was just a negotiation. I'm sure he won't attack me directly. Morgana also knew that Achuo was only concerned about her own safety, so after making a strong statement, she still said some words to comfort them. Even so, we can't let you go alone, Achuo said. Let me go with you, Queen. Zuyi stepped forward and directly expressed her thoughts. I'll go with you too, Achuo also quickly expressed his opinion. Even if you all go with me, what's the point? Morgana shook her head. If the two sides really want to go to war, then the entire demon army must be driven over. If it's not a war, why go with so many people? To create a tense atmosphere? Okay, stay here and watch the house, Morgana said, and then walked directly into the wormhole. She went directly to the outer edge of the solar system. The current solar system has been blocked by the Xiangbinglian through the ring solar system defense system, and people outside cannot directly enter the solar system through the wormhole. Morgana's appearance immediately attracted the attention of Liu Trang and others who were in charge of guarding the defense system around the solar system. They had known for a long time that Li Qingyun was going to meet Morgana. So they did not attack Morgana directly. Liu Trang personally walked outside the solar system and looked at Morgana, who was already standing there waiting. Come in, Liu Trang said, and the original space blockade opened a barrier at this time, and Liu Chang's figure appeared in Morgana's field of vision. No Star Wars, in just a few years, your strength has become so strong that you can be comparable to Achuo. Morgana looked at Liu Chang. She could see the strength of the breath emanating from Liu Chang at a glance. This was no longer the new recruit of the Xiangbing company who was blocked and besieged by the demon army using a group of demon soldiers. This was a person standing there, who could make people feel that he was strong, and that one person was enough to defeat an army. I'm not a god of war of no star, I'm Great Wall number 1, although Liu Chang inherited the genes of the god of war of no star, he was not the war executioner created on no star, but a soldier who defended his home and country. Therefore, Great Wall number 1 is his real code name. Okay, Great Wall number 1, Morgana was helpless. She had tried to recruit Liu Chang a long time ago, but Liu Chang didn't buy her tricks. Entering the solar system, looking at the entire civilization system that has been gradually developed and improved at this time, the defense bases scattered between various planets, and the wormhole terminals that connect key fortresses in various places, the entire solar system has become a real whole. Follow me. Liu Chang walked in front and flew towards the direction of the Earth. In order to facilitate the combat of the super soldiers, Li Qingyun had already upgraded the soldiers of the Xiangbing company with various abilities that can support them to fly in the universe, and Liu Chang's is an auxiliary tool like a jet. Morgana followed behind Liu Trang, very quietly, and followed Liu Trang to the earth. She knew that Liu Trang wanted to lead the way in person in order to prevent Morgana from wandering around here alone, fearing that she would secretly touch the secrets on earth. Morgana could have ignored these things, but she came here this time to discuss matters related to the Demon Legion and the space-time rose with Li Qingyun, and she was a guest. She still had the courtesy of following the host's wishes. Of course, the main reason was to avoid conflicts. She didn't want to really have a conflict with the god of chaos in this place, and end up being forcibly destroyed by Li Qingyun. Arriving on Earth, they came to a platform outside the Black Great Wall base. Li Qingyun and Du Qiangwei had already been waiting here, and they had also arranged a luxurious food set. This was considered a welcome to the guests. After Liu Chuang handed Morgana over to Li Qingyun, he went back directly, and Morgana looked around at this time. Under the observation of the Eye of Insight, she instantly noticed the overall changes on Earth. This planet, which was only a pre-nuclear civilization 2 or 3 years ago, has now entered the interstellar era. Space-grade technology can be seen everywhere, and God-making technology is also everywhere in this Black Great Wall base. There are celestial computers. Morgana was shocked by the Red Star series computing system she saw last. You are so reckless in snooping on the secrets of the Earth. I will list you as an invader, Li Qingyun said, and the moment he finished speaking, a strong dark energy spread out, directly dispelling Morgana's observation power. Chapter 314 The Promised Competition. Li Qingyun's words forced Morgana to stop her continuous observation of the Earth. The purpose of her visit this time was for Du Qiangwei. Because she wanted to find out some insignificant secrets, she disrupted the negotiations, which was a bit of a loss. I still have to sigh that the development of the Earth in such a short period of time is still too amazing. Morgana couldn't help but sigh. The speed of civilization upgrading on Earth during this period has reached an unprecedented level, even more shocking than the speed of Model Blue's growth in the past few thousand years. All technologies are ready, and everyone can concentrate all resources and use the entire civilization to serve the advancement of technology. This is naturally possible. When a civilization faces the crisis of destruction, even without such guidance, they can burst out endless potential in just a few decades, not to mention a person who is guiding it. What Li Qingyun said at this moment is not just an example, but a situation that will definitely occur on Earth. In the three-body problem, after confirming that the Earth would be attacked by alien civilizations in 400 years, the Earth was able to successfully enter the aerospace-grade technology era in just 400 years, even under the proton blockade, and it was a very high level of technology. In Independence Day, it took only 20 years for the Earth to create a new aerospace-grade technology by combining alien technology, making it reach the aerospace-grade technology level. This is also the case in some other science fiction films, such as The Wandering Earth, Ender's Game, and Pacific Rim. This is the potential that a civilization can instantly burst out when facing a crisis of destruction. In fact, all the people on the entire Earth know that as long as they are given a chance to abandon their internal conflicts and gather together to work together to deal with a huge crisis, they can instantly burst out with unprecedented potential. Not only in the movie, but also in the real world. Before Li Qingyun traveled through time, it would be the same. Break out in despair, Morgana nodded thoughtfully. She and Keisha had also experienced this situation. At that time, facing the Xiangong group, which had absolute technology, the female angels were at an absolute disadvantage, but they still made a major upgrade in a short period of time. After that, they continued to surpass it until they finally drove the scum off the altar. However, it took them a longer time. But this should be because there was no help, which was fundamentally different from the guidance of Li Qingyun and the Super God Academy. I have talked a lot about the topic. Shouldn't I talk about your opinion on my proposal? Li Qingyun asked. The real purpose of asking Morgana to come here this time was to discuss the future of the Demon Legion and the Time and Space Rose, not to discuss how the Earth developed in such a short time. Do you mean to let Rose learn from me and let Rose become the new Demon King of the Demon Legion in the future? Morgana knew what Li Qingyun's proposal was at the time, and she even guessed what Li Qingyun really thought. This is to let Du Qiangwei become the Demon King of the Demon Army in the future, and let Du Qiangwei lead the entire Demon Army to the Earth. Maybe in the future, the Demon Army and the Angel Army will reconcile. I can agree to your request. But the problem is that you have to let Du Qiangwei go with me alone, and the time is set at, I will give you 20 years. It happens that Yan and the others have trained in it for 20 years. If we cannot reach a consensus in our thoughts and opinions after 20 years, then I will have to eliminate all of you. Li Qingyun interrupted Morgana and said his true thoughts directly. As a senior, it is immoral to leave your enemies to the younger generation. So if you are sure that you can't become friends, then you naturally have to solve the trouble before the other party takes the position, Li Qingyun said, and Morgana already understood what he said. So, if Wei can't become the new Demon King at that time, you will kill the entire demon army. If you can, you will just stand by and watch. Morgana looked at Li Qingyun with some doubts. Why do we have to limit the time to such a short period of 20 years? Can the training of a main god be done in 20 years? As gods, they all have eternal lifespans. In these long years, it is nothing to spend thousands of years to train the next generation of successors. Why do we have to rush in these short 20 years? Yes, and in these 20 years, I will not interfere with all your teachings to Rose, and there will be no conflict between the angels and the earth and your demon army. Li Qingyun threw out all the conditions at once. I can agree to all of this. Morgana already understood that this time it was called a discussion, but in fact she had no choice at all. But I still have a request. What request? Li Qingyun had long thought that Morgana might also put forward some other opinions. Don't you have more than 20 very powerful super soldiers in your Zionbing company and the earth? They are high-end combat forces, Morgana said, and she had an idea in her heart, an idea of struggling for strength. My demon army has also cultivated 20 high-end fighters. We have agreed to hold the competition in 3 years. Let these warriors compete, and see who will win and who will lose in the end. How about it? Morgana wanted to prove her strength. She wanted to see if she could win the battle after preparing for each other if she did not make an exchange with Li Qingyun in this way. Okay, Li Qingyun nodded and agreed. If you lose at that time, today's agreement can allow me to revise 3 conditions. If you win, the demon army and I will also agree to your 3 additional conditions. Morgana was also trying to win a chance for the demon army to turn the tables in the future. Okay, Li Qingyun still did not refuse. I have said in advance that neither you nor I can leave the field at that time, and Rose will fight on behalf of our demon army at that time, and she can't show mercy. Morgana had to remove the biggest bug first, which was Li Qingyun's, the biggest bug. As you wish. Li Qingyun fully understood Morgana's thoughts and her calculations, but he was not worried at all. With the resources and trump cards in his hands, he did not have to worry about losing to Morgana. Very good, then it's a deal. Morgana showed a satisfied smile. She was very satisfied with the results of today's discussion. Chapter 315, The Candidates for the Battle. The result of the negotiation has come out. Morgana took Du Wei with her and left the Earth and flew out of the solar system. The Demon King gained a lot this time. Not only did he get the opportunity to get close to Du Wei, but he also found the best opportunity to win over time and space Rose to become a demon. At the same time, she also gave the demon army a chance to turn the tables in the future. In the next 3 years, the demon army began to prepare for war. 20 demon warriors led by the sword demon Atuo and the hunting blade user Zhu Yu were selected to become the reserve warriors who would challenge the Earth Hero Company and the high-level guards of the Angel Army in the near future. Of course, Du Wei was also among them. This super warrior with the time and space gene was the top warrior that Morgana really liked. He was the key to their ability to turn the tide in the subsequent battles. Therefore, the other demon warriors might be training each other, and Morgana only provided them with some guidance and sufficient energy support. But Du Wei was different. Morgana did everything herself. While providing Du Wei with all the resources, she also stuck to her all the time, even when she slept at night. Although Du Wei was disgusted, she could not completely push Morgana away in the face of her persistent entanglement. In addition, the most important reason was that Morgana was also a woman. No matter how much a woman pestered her, Du Wei would not have the instinctive rejection she had for other men. At the same time, on Earth, Li Qingyun had already expressed Morgana's idea of competing with him to decide the final victory or defeat. Choose 20 people to compete with him, and specifically not let you participate. Sun Wukong looked at Li Qingyun. His expression was obviously not very good, and he seemed a little worried. I won't participate, and Morgana won't participate either. What we really want to compete in this battle is actually the ability of the younger generation, Li Qingyun said. Younger generation? But the young men in our heroic army, altogether, are less than 20. And with their current level, can they fight against the 20 carefully selected people from the demon army? Sun Wukong obviously did not include himself in the category of the younger generation. You said that, are you also not going to participate? Li Qingyun looked at Sun Wukong. If it was just for the sake of winning, it would be very beneficial for Sun Wukong to participate. After all, Sun Wukong is the fighting Buddha, and his fighting power is originally considered top-notch in this universe. In the entire universe, there is no one below the main guard level who can be on par with Sun Wukong. If you are above the main guard level, I guess Sun Wukong can trade with you 1 for 1. Since it is agreed that this is a contest between the younger generation, if I participate in it, wouldn't it be a bit too much? Sun Wukong is very confident, and he has always positioned himself as an old senior. The most important thing is that he has always behaved like a brother with Li Qingyun. In the eyes of everyone, the two of them are of the same generation. Now Li Qingyun said that in order to train the younger generation, he would let others go to the war. If Li Qingyun himself did not go, he would let Sun Wukong go. Doesn't that mean that Sun Wukong is a generation younger than Li Qingyun? Li Qingyun did not expect that his words would make Sun Wukong take it seriously. Well, it seems that I have to rethink these 20 places for the battle. Li Qingyun did not intend to force Sun Wukong. Anyway, he felt that even without Sun Wukong, they should not lose. After all, Morgana said at the time that high-level angels could also participate. Morgana knew that on the Earth side, in the team of the heroic army, no matter how hard they tried, they would definitely not find 20 super soldiers, so they provided this convenience specifically for Li Qingyun. This was also a kind of confidence in Morgana herself. She was confident that as long as she could train the time and space rows, and add the top warriors of her demon army, she would definitely be able to win the Earth side. There are 12 people in our heroic army who can join now, and the strongest among them are Xiaolin and Liu Trang. Li Qingyun began to count the super soldiers in his hands and began to calculate their overall strength. There are a total of 15 people in the heroic army, not including Li Qingyun. But now, Sun Wukong does not intend to participate, and Qiang Wei naturally cannot participate when she goes to the Demon Legion. Reina is the main god of Liang, and whether she wants to participate depends on her own wishes. Therefore, there are only 12 people who can be sure to participate. Among them, Xiaolin's strength must be the strongest. After all, he already has a void controller, and under the guidance of Li Qingyun, he has already had a further understanding of the ability of his void controller. His current strength is probably stronger than in the original timeline when he fought against Hu Yi with a phantom body. Liu Chuang's strength has also been greatly improved. His combat power as the god of war of No Star can now be exerted by more than half. In the next 3 years, he can be further trained to fully tap his potential. In addition, in the second echelon, there are 3 people, Sultan, Cheng Yaowen, and Zhao Xin. Among them, Sultan's combat power is definitely the highest, and his peak beast body is not even weaker than Liu Chuang. But Sultan also has a fatal weakness, that is, he is too naive. It is difficult for him to fight alone on the battlefield. The best way is to cooperate with teammates to fight together and let teammates and him play the best combat power. Therefore, Sultan can only be placed in the second echelon, with Chang Yaowen and Zhao Xin. In addition, He Weilin, Rui Mengmeng, Li Fifei, and Zhao, although they are also close combat, their abilities are very limited, and even their divine bodies have not been upgraded to the 3rd generation. The remaining 3 are Wei Ying, Qilin, and Su Xiaoli. They are long-range fighters, 2 snipers, and a battle mage. These warriors of the Xiaongbing company need to be further strengthened in the future. In addition, we need to select 8 high-level guard angels from the Angel Corps who can cooperate with their abilities and bring out the best of them, Li Qingyun said, and some lists naturally emerged in his mind at this time. Angel Yan, Angel Zhixin, Angel Zhu, Angel Leng, Angel Kayla, Angel Moi. Among these 6, 4 are considered to be at the level of Holy Wings, and Angel Yan has now directly become the King of Angels. But apart from these, Li Qingyun doesn't know many of the high-level guard angels. Li Qingyun knows Angel Fangxing and Angel Yunyan. But their strength seems to be a little insufficient. Let's discuss it with Yen and Hexi to see if there is a suitable one. Although Li Qingyun has lived in Mellow Heaven for a while, his mind is on studying dimensional technology with Hexi, and he really doesn't know the situation of Mellow Heaven's high-level angels. Therefore, For the last 2 places, and even the first 6 places, he still had to discuss with Xianxi Yan and Xianji Wang Hexi. Chapter 316, A long separation is better than a new marriage. After discussing with Angel Yan and He Zai, the final candidates for the battle were quickly determined. In the following 3 years, Li Qingyun began to further train and strengthen these 20 warriors. The alliance between the angels and the earth was also further strengthened in this joint training. It was strange that in these 3 years, the Dark Nebula Death Song Academy, which had always received news, suddenly became quiet. It seemed that the Death God Karl suddenly no longer wanted to get involved in this universe, and no longer tried every means to open the Void Age. Death God Karl can't suddenly give up his plan. He didn't take action. I'm afraid he is preparing something more important behind the scenes. Li Qingyun stood in space. He was looking at the starry sky in the distance, and then he was discussing with Angel Yan beside him. After Li Qingyun gathered 20 super warriors for special training so that they could prepare for the competitive battle with the demon army, Angel Yan came over from Fraser. As the crown prince of the angels, Inezad also came with her. She already knew the truth about the angels, and knew that she would become the new king of angels in the future. Naturally, she no longer had to stay on Fraser as deliberately as in the past and be the queen of an ordinary kingdom. Of course, she still had some other arrangements for the Holy Kingdom of Alan, such as starting to select qualified successors, and letting some important ministers serve as the cabinet to handle national affairs, etc. After all, her main task now was to learn how to become an angel, to understand the vast starry sky, and the world of the gods. Therefore, Inezad came along, and she would also participate in the training of the hero company, and would also begin to try to understand how real super soldiers fight. All our attention is now focused on the subsequent competition with the Demon Legion, and it is indeed easy to miss some movements from the Death God Karl, Angel Yan said. The high-level angels in the Angel Legion that she could command were now in Li Qingyun's team. At this time, she had no suitable candidates to send to the Death God Karl to perform the task of surveillance. Wu Kuang still has to serve as the instructor of the Xiangbinglian, and you have to assist him here to promote the joint operations between the angels and the Xiangbinglian. The next thing will be done by me personally. Li Qingyun is actually free now. When He Zai is studying more about the application of cosmic membrane technology, Li Qingyun can temporarily not participate. Therefore, at this time, Li Qingyun can let go and do anything. Are you going to the Dark Nebula alone? Angel Yan showed a worried expression on her face. No, I plan to go back to her home with Reina first. According to Li Qingyun's understanding, even if the Death God Karl is taking some action now, he should be trying to upgrade the 4 Knights of the Void and perhaps more black hole matter. And the best way to obtain black hole matter is to directly master the technology of star drive, and this technology needs to be supported by the ability of sunlight. Therefore, the Death God Karl will definitely take action on the Liang star. What Li Qingyun wants is to go to the Liang star and destroy the plan of the Death God Karl first. I understand, Angel Yan is no longer the sacred left-wing guard of the past. As the king of angels, she understands that someone must do this kind of thing. But don't worry. We haven't seen each other for so long. You have to let me accompany you for a while, right? When Li Qingyun said this, he turned around and hugged Angel Yan. In the past few months, although he had been in mellow heaven, Angel Yan went to Fraser, so he and Angel Yan were not together. Killen was with Li Qingyun every day. So, now that Angel Yan is finally by her side, how can she separate again without doing anything? So, in the next few days, the two of them lingered to their heart's content and made up for the separation of the past few months. A few days later, Li Qingyun and Reina took a small spaceship and set off for Liang Star. On Liang Star, Pan Zhen also looked melancholy at this moment. Li Qingyun was coming over, and he had already learned from Reina, but the problem was that Pan Zhen still couldn't control the god of chaos. The other party has a stronger fighting force than the god of death Karl, and has become the well-deserved leader of the angel civilization and the earth. Li Qingyun can be said to be the one who holds the highest authority in the universe today. General, the goddess's spaceship has entered the Xiandao star area and will land in 10 minutes. Zhuang Kun, the black crocodile sky protector, came to Pan Zhen and reported the latest situation to him. Got it, Pan Zhen nodded and said. General, have you really decided to cooperate with the Earth? Zhuang Kun hesitated, but he still said what he was thinking. Why? Do you have an idea? Pan Zhen turned around and looked at Zhuang Kun. one of the 3 remaining sky protectors of Li Qingyun star. We have had 2 conflicts with the Earth. The first time we wanted to invade the Earth directly, but the result was, Zhuan Kun did not continue to say this. After all, that battle was an extremely painful lesson for their Li Qingyun star. Li Qingyun star began to gradually lose ground among the 4 main god civilizations because of that battle. Originally, the population of Li Qingyun star had dropped sharply because half of the planet was destroyed. There were not many warriors left, and that battle directly killed tens of thousands of them. Although Li Qingyun star continued to replenish its troops, the total number of warriors on Li Qingyun star now was only a few thousand. Last time, Zhuang Xianzhu also fought with their patron god Sun Wukong on Earth. The whole Earth knew that we were actually planning to occupy their planet. In this case, why would they take the initiative to let us go? This was what Zhuan Kun couldn't figure out. There was obviously a conflict of interest between them, especially for the planet Earth itself, where they, Xiandao Liang, were once invaders. Are you afraid that the other party is inviting you into a trap? Pan Zhen looked at Zhuan Kun. I don't think so, but it is indeed possible. Zhuan Kun was just saying one of the possibilities he guessed at the moment. I understand what you mean. After the arrival of this god of chaos, I will find a way to figure it all out. Pan Zhen said that he had actually already thought about it and figured out the real thoughts of this god of chaos after Li Qingyun arrived. Chapter 317 Emperor Honkin. Soon, Li Qingyun, led by Reina, came to the palace of Li Qingyun star. Here, Pan Zhen had already personally led the 3 heavenly guardians to wait, and the guards around the palace were all very spirited. When facing the arrival of guests, one must always show the best side of oneself. Even though Li Qingyun star has long been desolate, he still guards his dignity as a master god-level civilization. Pan Zhen, Li Qingyun looked at the middle-aged uncle who was walking towards him. He was the patron saint of Li Qingyun star and a veteran of Xiandao Liang for 3 dynasties. When Xiandao Liang began to develop, he was a subordinate of the first generation of Li Qingyun king. When the second generation of Li Qingyun king was in power, he and Li Qingyun king were brothers who had gone through life and death together. But now in the 3rd generation, when he came to Arena, he became a patron saint. He was just a general, but he shouldered the responsibility of protecting the entire civilization. God of Chaos, Pan Zhen did not call the other person by his name like Li Qingyun did. Now Pan Zhen is actually a bit like Izai's state of mind. Although he was tired of fighting and intrigue, he still had to show his strength at the Divine Power Conference to protect the safety of Li Qingyun star and protect Lina's growth. He also had to let all the civilizations in the universe see his strong side. People who live too long will always encounter such a situation. Especially when all the people who once fought with him are dead. When Keisha was still there, Hexi could still live a very easy life, but after Keisha fell, Hexi only had the responsibility of protecting Mellow Heavenly Court in his heart. At this time, life and death are no longer important to them. Now think about it, Hexi took the initiative to enter the black hole, and Pan Zhen stayed on Li Qingyun star and was destroyed with Li Qingyun star. This is actually a kind of relief for them. I came all the way here, I wonder if I can go to your Xiandao tower, Li Qingyun said, and his eyes were already locked on a tall tower not far from the palace. Compared to the palace in front of him, the tower is the real secret place of Li Qingyun star, and the core of the entire Xiandao Liang technology. The genetic backup of Emperor Honkin, the light of the sun, the system that regulates the star energy of the entire Liang galaxy, etc., are all located in the tower. The Xiandao Tower is the top secret place of our Liang star, and outsiders cannot enter it casually, Pan Zhen said. I know, but this time, I want to personally, except for Pan Zhen, no one else beside him could hear what Li Qingyun said later. You, hearing what Li Qingyun said at this moment, Pan Zhen's face was a little solemn. Even Lina didn't know this secret, so how could Li Qingyun know it? I just want to understand the situation, and I won't do anything that is disadvantageous to you. You can rest assured about this. Li Qingyun once again explained the purpose of his trip, so that the patron saint of Liang star could relax. I understand, come with me, Pan Zhen said, then turned around and walked towards the Xiandao Tower. Li Qingyun followed closely behind, but when Reina and others were about to follow, they were rejected by Pan Zhen. The real secret of the Heavenly Dao Tower could not be known to Reina for the time being. Seeing this, Reina understood that there must be some secrets that even she could not know. As the main god, if it were on ordinary days, she would definitely find out the truth. But today, because of Li Qingyun's presence, and because both Li Qingyun and Pan Zhen were the people she respected the most, she chose to suppress all these doubts temporarily. She and Shifen Xian Huozhao entered the palace together and began to talk about the situation in Liang's star in recent years. It was also considered that she did something that she should have done as the main god. On the other side, under the leadership of Pan Zhen, Li Qingyun had already arrived at the Heavenly Dao Tower. This is located in the center of the highest floor of the Heavenly Dao Tower. It is an empty room with no decorations or any other tools around it. However, after Pan Zhen entered here, he immediately knelt on one knee and bowed to the front with the most solemn etiquette. "Pan Zhen, meet the Lord of the Sun," Pan Zhen shouted, and at the same time, a huge phantom began to gradually form. It was a burning flame, which looked vaguely like a human outline, but from a distance it looked like a special symbol. Is it a data projection? Li Qingyun looked at the appearance of Emperor Honkin and immediately confirmed the true situation of the First Lord of the Sun Star. Unlike what Li Qingyun guessed when watching the animation, Emperor Honkin and the God of Death Karl were both phantoms. This Emperor Honkin was not actually a phantom projection that uploaded supergene data to other dimensions. In his case, it was more like uploading his own supergene data to the inside of a supercomputer, and then reprojecting the data in its current form through special data projection and other methods. From the outside, this is also a phantom, but in fact, this phantom is far less advanced than the God of Death Karl. It seems that the technology of phantom is currently only the God of Death Karl who truly masters all the content, Li Qingyun said. Before he came, he had thought that he might be able to find some information about the phantom from Di Honkin, and then find a way to deal with the phantom of the God of Death Karl. But now it seems that this is impossible. It is easy for Li Qingyun to destroy Di Honkin's phantom. He just needs to find the whereabouts of the celestial computer hidden behind it and then destroy the celestial computer. But if you want to destroy the phantom of the God of Death Karl, you must find his supergene data hidden in a higher dimension. Entering a higher dimension to find a piece of data information is much more difficult than finding a celestial computer in the super god universe. It took the God of Death Karl tens of thousands of years to finally complete the development of the phantom with the help of the big clock. His phantom technology is naturally not comparable to mine, Di Honkin said, and his image at this moment seemed to turn around and look at Li Qingyun. "You can't even condense your real body?" Li Qingyun asked. "Regardless of whether it is a data projection or not, since it is also an illusion projected through data, Di Honkin should still be able to achieve a physical body like the Grim Reaper Karl. What if I can condense it? My physical body has long been destroyed. Even if I condense it into the appearance of a normal person, it is just an illusion," Di Honkin sighed. He chose to commit suicide at the beginning, so how could he continue to restore his normal appearance now? Yet, Li Qingyun nodded. But he no longer entangled with this issue. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318 The True Power of Sunlight. Any major god civilization should have a celestial computer behind it. As one of the four major god civilizations, your Xiandao Liang naturally has one. But why is this computer not provided to Reyna? Li Qingyun looked at Di Honkin in front of him and raised another question in his mind. Reyna is still young. She can't even control the energy in her body. She can't control the celestial computer yet, Di Honkin said. In addition, the celestial computer of my Xiandao Liang is different from ordinary celestial computers. Our celestial computer is not the kind you can see, Di Honkin added. Well, I know this, Li Qingyun actually saw it when he came. Before arriving at Liang's star, Li Qingyun once thought that the Xiandao Tower might have a celestial computer hidden in it, or that the celestial spacecraft of Yangxiao Xianting was a celestial computer. But when he entered the Xiandao Tower, he suddenly realized that his guesses were all wrong. The celestial computer of Liang's star does not exist in the real world at all. In fact, it is like Keisha's sacred knowledge treasure house, and has long been hidden in the dark matter plane space. It is a special, hidden huge computer. Only when Lena becomes a true sun god, when she truly masters the power of the sun's light, can she finally master the celestial computer of my Xiandao Liang, Di Honkin said, and almost at the same time, In front of him, a projection began to condense, a projection of an object similar to the sun. Is this what your Xiandao Liang celestial computer looks like? Li Qingyun only needs to take a look to determine what this thing is. It's called Xi. It was the celestial computer that I spent all my money on 10,000 years ago. It was also it that helped me destroy the entire Denner galaxy, Di Hongqin said, and when he said this, there seemed to be more lament and regret in his tone. At the beginning, I mastered the power of the sun's light, and with the help of Xi, I thought I was the only master in the universe, so, facing the galaxy power and the no-star war god, which are also one of the 3 major god-making projects, I had the idea of nip this threat in the bud. In the end, the Denner civilization was completely destroyed under my attack, but my Liang star was also retaliated by the no-star war god, and the entire planet was split in half, too powerful power, but unable to control its heart, so that this power eventually became the source of destruction. So, after Reina was born, after she inherited the genetic ability of the sun's light, I set multiple codes in her body. And never gave this Xi to her. Di Hongqin told the cause and effect, the mistakes he had made, and the preventive measures he took on Reina to prevent these mistakes from happening again. All of this is to ensure that this destructive power will not be used to bring about the end of the world. From the perspective of the universe, your approach is correct, but from the perspective of our own civilization, it is a wrong approach, Li Qingyun said. The series of defense measures you set up for Reina did indeed prevent her destructive power from posing too much of a threat to the universe, but at the same time, because Reina lacked truly powerful power, your Xiandao Liang became the target of others' calculations. Morgana controlled her at the beginning, and later the god of death Karl used her to threaten Pan Zhen, which all proved this point. After listening to Li Qingyun's words, Di Hongqin fell into a brief silence. Because he once possessed too much power, which led to the complete destruction of a civilization, he restricted Reina's power. But now Reina's power is bound, which is indeed the reason why Reina and Liang Star are in a difficult situation now. Everything in the world has 2 sides. When you pay too much attention to one side, it will inevitably cause serious problems on the other side. So, instead of overcorrecting, it is better to let nature take its course. Li Qingyun's point of view has always been like this. Reina has grown up now. Although she is not very mature yet, at least she has understood what she should do as a main god. Give Xi to her when there is a chance. I believe she will not let you down. Li Qingyun said so, and Di Hongqin finally answered at this time. You are right. Sometimes, there are things that should not be interfered with too much. After Di Hongqin finished speaking, he threw the light ball in his hand to Pan Zhen in front of him. Find an appropriate time to tell Reina everything, and then give her the control of Xi. In addition, the control of Young Xiao Heavenly Court can also be unsealed to Reina. Di Hongqin finally wanted to completely release the power in his hands to his descendant, to his granddaughter, the new sunlight, Reina. Yes, my king, Pan Zhen agreed, and then reached out and took the light ball representing the control of Xi. God of Chaos, I see in you a power far stronger than that of the headmaster of space, and your thinking and ideas are not as rigid as those of their ancient gods. I know that you and the angel Yan of the angel civilization have become a couple, and you are also related to Qilin on Earth, but I don't know if you are willing to be with Reina. It's not that I don't want to, but if Reina follows me, she will have to leave this world with me soon. By then, your Liang civilization will have no main god. Even so, do you not mind? Li Qingyun interrupted Di Hongqin. At Li Qingyun's age and with his current mentality, how could he resist such a thing? But he is not the kind of person who can be extremely selfish for the sake of enjoyment. If he agrees now and has a relationship with Reina later, what will Reina do when he leaves the super god universe? Should she give up this huge Liang civilization and leave with him, or should she separate from Li Qingyun and become a Liang main god alone? Therefore, if there is no way to solve these problems, it is best not to provoke her from the beginning. Okay, but I still hope that you can always maintain your current friendship with my granddaughter. Di Hongqin is looking for a backer for Reina and providing more protection for his granddaughter. Don't worry, she has always been my ally, and also an ally of the earth and the angels, Li Qingyun said affirmatively. Chapter 319, The Tower of Heaven is invaded. Li Qingyun left the Heavenly Dao Tower very quickly. The conversation with Emperor Hongqin was just a small episode. What Li Qingyun really cared about from the beginning was only Emperor Hongqin's phantom. But now it seems that Emperor Hongqin's phantom is completely different from the phantom of the god of death Karl. Hiding supergene data in a celestial computer and uploading supergene data to a higher dimension are two completely different levels. After Li Qingyun and the others came out, Pan Zhen quickly found Lina and told her about Emperor Honkin, and also provided Lina with the control of Zai. Only those who possess Zai's sunlight can be the real sun god, who can completely control the power of the sun in their own hands and can be directly transformed into the incarnation of the sun. The next morning, Lina found Li Qingyun. "Thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't know what's going on with my Liang Xiandao." Reina thanked Li Qingyun very solemnly. She learned everything from Pan Zhen, and also got Zai from Pan Zhen. She also learned that Di Hongkin originally intended to let her be with Li Qingyun. However, at this moment, Reina thought of her grandfather's expectations for her, and she couldn't help blushing. Li Qingyun couldn't help but feel a little surprised when he saw Reina at this moment. Although he didn't directly activate his ability to explore other people's thoughts to Reina, because he had chaos magic, he would naturally feel the emotional fluctuations of people around him. Especially those stronger emotional fluctuations. Therefore, Li Qingyun clearly sensed the thoughts that just came out of Reina's mind. "You Xiandao Liang have made big mistakes before, but the mistakes you made in the past cannot be used as a label on you. What's important is what you will do next." Li Qingyun could only forcibly change the topic, just thinking that he didn't know what Reina was thinking at the moment, and didn't know what her emotions were. "I understand that the sun god should bring light to the world, not destruction. I know how to use the power I have." Lina knew how to use her power a long time ago. However, she was angry for a period of time because she was captured by the devil and imprisoned by the god of death Karl. She also knew that she was not mature enough. But she could overcome this immaturity quickly. Moreover, Li Qingyun was here. As long as Li Qingyun, the god of chaos, was there, even if she really lost control of her emotions one day, she could be stopped by Li Qingyun. "Well, I also believe that you can do this," Li Qingyun nodded. However, after he finished speaking, the two of them suddenly fell into silence. Both of them had some ideas in their hearts, but neither of them knew how to speak. At this moment, they stood there awkwardly, and no one spoke. Time passed little by little, and the atmosphere became more and more awkward. But just when the two were about to reach a weird state, a bell suddenly rang from outside the house. "Warning, warning, someone is invading the Heavenly Dao Tower, someone is invading the Heavenly Dao Tower." This voice is from the intelligent defense system of the Heavenly Dao Tower. Not good. Reina immediately turned around and walked towards the direction of the Heavenly Dao Tower at the fastest speed. Long before she came of age, Pan Zhen had always told her that the Heavenly Dao Tower was the most important place on their Liang star. And now, Reina, who knew all the truth from Pan Zhen, knew even more clearly that the importance of this Heavenly Dao Tower was related to the survival of the entire Liang star. As the main god, she absolutely could not watch the Liang star being destroyed. She could not let this civilization fall into ruin in her hands. Li Qingyun did not hesitate. He followed closely behind Reina, but his eyes had already seen the interior of the Heavenly Dao Tower. "Nusa, Mudo," Li Qingyun frowned. Originally, he thought that there was only one person who came today, Nusa, because in the original timeline, it was Nusa who came alone with the special equipment of the god of death Karl to destroy the Heavenly Dao Tower and steal the light of the sun. But now, the other party actually sent two at once, and these two people also have upgraded versions of the Void engine. At present, it seems that their models are different from Hui's black hole engine, but from the energy form, it can be judged that this is also the same level as the black hole engine, and it is made by the death god Karl using black hole matter. "Take this." Li Qingyun took out a card and threw it directly to Reina. Reina was a little confused, but she still subconsciously took the card thrown by Li Qingyun. The moment the card was held in her hand, Reina immediately felt a surge of energy infiltration. It was a strange energy. Its existence was to immediately form a layer of protection on Reina's body. "What is this?" It was not until this moment that Reina raised her head in confusion. "This is a kind of protection program that I specially developed to defend against void-level concept attacks. It was originally intended to be matched to all super soldiers of the Xiaongbing company later, but now it is used by you first," Li Qingyun explained, and while he was talking, they had already arrived at the bottom of the Xiandao Tower. "There are two people on the other side, one is on the top floor of the Xiandao Tower, and the other is on the third floor," Li Qingyun said, and then put one hand directly on Reina's back. I will take you to the top floor, and you go to protect your grandfather and the operating system of the Xiandao Tower." As Li Qingyun finished speaking, he pushed out his palm suddenly, and Reina's body was directly pushed into the air and directly pushed to the top of the Xiandao Tower. Reina seemed a little dazed by Li Qingyun's sudden push, but when she was in the air and saw the corridor on the top floor, she immediately reacted. At this time, nothing is more important than protecting the Xiandao Tower. Summoning a longsword and a shield in her hand, Reina directly spun in the air, swung the longsword, and threw it directly into the Xiandao Tower. As the longsword was inserted into the pillar on the top floor of the Xiandao Tower, Reina followed the longsword and went directly into the tower. Kicking open the tower door, Reina saw Nusa, who was about to put a Rubik's Cube into the computing device of the Xiandao Tower. "Get out of here!" Reina swung her left hand forward, and the shield in her hand turned into a stream of light, smashing directly at Nusa. Nusa was also surprised by this situation. According to his speculation, even if the Heavenly Dao Tower issued a warning, it would take at least a short time for someone to come to support. But now, the time difference is less than a few dozen seconds. Chapter 320 The Lord God of the Heavenly Sun. "It's coming so fast," Nusa sighed. Facing the flying shield, he could only draw out a single sword as quickly as possible and block it in front of him. Clang! The sound of metal collision came, and Nusa's body was directly blown away at the moment of blocking the shield. How is it possible? Nusa looked at the shield that was rebounding in shock, and his heart was horrified. He now has a void engine, and his strength is definitely not comparable to that of an ordinary super soldier. Even if this is the sunlight in front of him, it is just a third-generation divine body, and a young girl in her 20s. How could she burst out such a terrifying power under such a casual attack? According to the data at the big clock, the power of Sunlight Reina is definitely not my current opponent. Even if we fight head-on, I can suppress her. How could she blow me away just under a shield thrown in the air, unless her strength has also been improved during this period of time? Nusa quickly found a reason to explain this situation. My god has long said that the god of chaos possesses very advanced technology, so the strength of the super soldiers in the hero company has been improved to varying degrees. This sunlight should have been upgraded because of the god of chaos. Nusa thought so in his heart. His guess can be said to be half right. The current Reina has indeed been upgraded. However, it was not Li Qingyun who upgraded Reina, but her grandfather, the first generation of sunlight, Emperor Honkin. Reina, who got Zai, burst out with a real main guard level combat power, and with the assistance of Zai, her sunlight power can burst out with several times more power than before. In this case, Reina's casual attacks in the past would be greatly enhanced. But today, facing an intruder who intended to destroy the Heavenly Dao Tower, Reina's attack was merciless, and this attack was directly used with all her strength. In this case, Nusa blocked the shield but was only shaken away, which was also a manifestation of his strong enough strength. He fell to the ground, but his feet still created sparks as he stepped on the ground, and he continued to move back more than 10 meters. Fortunately, this Heavenly Dao Tower was made of very strong special materials, otherwise, the impact of landing would probably have directly smashed the floors of this Heavenly Dao Tower. What a powerful force! It is worthy of being researched by the Super Seminary, the Light of the Sun. Nusa finally stopped. He raised his head and looked at Reina in front of him. Today, I will let you people with ulterior motives know that my Heavenly Dao Liang is definitely not something that you little people can covet. Reina stood up suddenly, summoned a long sword with her right hand, and took back the throne shield. As the god of the sun, the main god of Liang Star, she must show her power to other civilizations in the universe, as well as her determination to protect the Heavenly Dao civilization. From the moment she took Zai from Panzhen, she was no longer the willful girl in her 20s, but a real main god. Because only the true Lord of the Fiery Sun Star is qualified to master this, which belongs to the highest and strongest power of the Heavenly Dao Fiery Sun. I really want to see how much you have improved now, Nusa said, but his eyes subconsciously looked at the core device of the Heavenly Dao Tower. The device in his hand will be ready for activation in more than a minute. At that time, he only needs to put this thing into the core device, and the power of the Heavenly Dao Tower will lose balance, and the real doomsday of the Fiery Sun Star will come. Destroying the Fiery Sun Star is Nusa's mission on this trip. He must complete it no matter what. As for the rest, it doesn't matter even if he dies. Don't give him a chance. The device in his hand was designed by the god of death Karl, which can directly destroy the entire operating system of the Heavenly Dao Tower. He hasn't moved yet because the device has not completed all the activation procedures. The voice of Emperor Honkin appeared in Reina's mind, which was conveyed to Reina through Zai. After mastering Zai, Reina naturally knew that her grandfather was still alive. D. Honkin had already integrated with Zai's data system, and he was actually a part of Zai's artificial intelligence system. Therefore, D. Honkin could directly pass some information to Reina through Zai. Understood, Reina agreed, and then rushed out suddenly. The long knife in her hand was aimed at Nusa's head and chopped straight down. The divine power in her body completely exploded at this moment. When she attacked, she didn't have to worry too much. She didn't even have to consider whether the Xiandao Tower would be destroyed. Because, breaking the building of the Xiandao Tower would not really cause fatal damage to the Xiandao Tower, but if Nusa threw the device into the operating device of the Xiandao Tower, the Xiandao Tower would really be finished. Nusa didn't dare to neglect Reina's attack. The impact of the shield just now had made Nusa realize that Reina's divine power was strong. If he didn't treat it with caution, he might be chopped to death before he could hold on to the equipment. Void suppression, Nusa raised his long sword in his right hand to block Reina's attack, but the purple energy that burst out of his body suppressed Reina. You still want to use this trick? You didn't succeed last time. This was the second time Reina had fought with Nusa. Although Nusa didn't use his full strength last time, Reina's strength at that time was far less powerful than it is now. Moreover, the void defense program that Li Qingyun gave her this time was more effective than the last time when Zai assisted her. The purple energy fell on Reina and did not cause any effect on her at all. There was not even a slight fluctuation on Reina's body, as if she was just illuminated by ordinary light. Li Qingyun again. Nusa saw this scene and immediately understood that this must be Li Qingyun's work again. Because only Li Qingyun could have such a clear targeting of the void technology developed by the god of death Karl. Every time they upgraded the void technology, it seemed that Li Qingyun would crack it, as if Li Qingyun knew all the research of the god of death Karl in advance. With the god of chaos here, you better put away all those fancy things, Lena said, and pressed down with her long sword, forcing Nusa to kneel on one knee, and then she turned 360 degrees and kicked Nusa in the air, hitting him directly in the abdomen. This kick threw Nusa directly out, and even crashed through the wall and flew outside the Heavenly Dao Tower. Chapter 321, Give you a chance to perform your special trick. Nusa was kicked out of the Heavenly Dao Tower, and Reina's attack immediately followed. First, the shield containing golden energy hit Nusa's chest directly, and then the golden long sword slashed at his neck. Facing such a fierce attack, Nusa could only take a blocking action in a panic, blocking above his neck with a void blade. The void blade successfully blocked Reina's attack, but because he was in midair and had no support below, Nusa's body was smashed directly to the ground like a cannonball. With a bang, he fell heavily to the ground, smashing a 2-meter deep pit, and a mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. With a strong force, Nusa wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, but still looked ahead calmly, looking at Reina who was landing from midair. You want to use the thing in your hand to destroy the operating system of the Heavenly Dao Tower? Delusion. After Reina finished speaking, she attacked again. She had to attack at the fastest speed and with the most intensive attack, leaving Nusa completely unable to spare any time, and making sure that the most capable assassin under the death god Karl had no chance to attack the Heavenly Dao Tower. It seems that you know everything, but do you know that this is just a clone of mine? Nusa said, and almost at the same time, another Nusa appeared above the Heavenly Dao Tower. He rushed into the Heavenly Dao Tower at a very fast speed, and in his hand, he actually held a device that was the same as the one in the hands of Nusa, who was being beaten by Reina at the moment. Reina was at the moment, and it was obviously too late for her to withdraw and stop him. However, at this critical moment, a red arrow directly cut through the sky. Nusa, who had already found the opportunity to enter the Heavenly Dao Tower to launch the device, had to quickly retreat to avoid the oncoming arrow. The Heavenly Protector is here, you little rascals, stop being so presumptuous. A slightly fat figure suddenly rushed out from the corner next to him, and the iron hammer in his hand smashed towards Nusa's body. Facing such a blow, Nusa had to block the void blade in front of him to block it. But this iron hammer focuses on strength. Under this brutal force attack, even if Nusa blocked it, his body was still smashed like a meteor and flew out fiercely. Li Qingyun is here. A man holding a double whip and wearing silver armor suddenly rushed out from behind. The devil whip in his hand aimed directly at Noosa's back and was about to hit him hard. A bunch of trash. Noosa was also irritated. His body flashed directly in the air and disappeared completely. Li Qingyun in silver armor failed to hit the target, but he still took advantage of the situation and flew directly to the Heavenly Dao Tower and stood with his Zuokan Heavenly Protector. Behind them, at the gap of the Heavenly Dao Tower, there was a woman in red clothes. That was the Chief Xianhu. The fourth Xianhu of Liang Star, Zhuang Xianji, who was once the strongest, had been defeated by Sun Wukong on Earth and killed by Reina. And now the remaining three, all gathered here. Noosa, do you really think that we, Liang Star, have no defense against you? A heavy and majestic voice came. It was the guardian god of Liang Star, General Pan Zhen, who came in person. Pan Zhen, seeing Pan Zhen's appearance, Noosa knew that he would not be able to succeed this time. Even if he had a clone. Even if he had the fourth generation of divine body and the latest void engine, he would never have the possibility of winning. After all, he now had to face the entire Liang civilization. Fighting against a civilization with his own strength, not everyone can do it. What's more, Li Qingyun is still inside. With Mudo's strength, if he had to fight Li Qingyun, he would not be able to hold out for long. Once Mudo died, Li Qingyun would come out again. Then, everything he had experienced would happen to Noosa. Mudo, come out quickly, let's leave here, Noosa called out in his mind. He wanted to summon Mudo, and they had to leave. I'm afraid I don't have a chance. Li Qingyun has completely controlled me. I can't even take a step out of this room now. Mudo's voice came over quickly, but the content of his words made Noosa's face even gloomier. Start your Unreal Engine. The engine has a strange power of illusion. As long as it is turned on, you can turn into countless phantoms. Among these phantoms, as long as one can escape, my god Carl can make you recover again, Noosa reminded. At the same time, in the Xiandao Tower, in that special room, Mudo was holding a samurai sword and facing Li Qingyun. From the beginning, he had launched attacks on Li Qingyun countless times, but no matter what method or moves he used, they had no effect in front of Li Qingyun. Li Qingyun could suppress all his abilities just by raising his hand. All his moves and actions seemed to be useless in Li Qingyun's eyes. Li Qingyun could always find the biggest flaw in his moves in an instant. Unreal Engine? Is it the Void Engine that is good at phantom transformation? Li Qingyun looked at Mudo, and the content of the conversation between Mudo and Noosa was heard clearly by Li Qingyun. All the information was already mastered by Li Qingyun. Mudo didn't expect that even the secret communication channel between him and Noosa could be seen through by Li Qingyun at a glance. I'm curious about what this virtual engine is like, and what your phantom incarnation will look like. Li Qingyun was not in a hurry to take action. The reason why Mudo was still alive and kicking was because Li Qingyun wanted to study what Mudo's ability was. And now, Li Qingyun finally knew what Mudo's virtual engine was called and what kind of nature it belonged to. Come on, I'll give you this last chance. If you can walk out of this room, I'll let you and Noosa go. Li Qingyun's words were so natural, but the more calm and peaceful his tone was, the more scared Mudo felt. Because only when a person's strength is completely superior to others can he show such an attitude. Just like the death god Carl who gave him this virtual engine, he always looks calm and composed when facing anything. Thousands of illusions. The sword in Mudo's hand suddenly stabbed towards the ground, and the moment the sword landed, countless clones flew out of his body and began to rush in all directions. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. After the update, I also went with my family. Chapter 322. Specializing in the treatment of extravagance. Transformed into countless phantoms. These phantoms seem to be illusory, but in fact, they can burst out with actual combat power. This is a very powerful technique. If Mudo is not facing Li Qingyun today, then even if it is replaced by Jezailan, the strongest of the new generation, he may not be able to deal with it. Of course, not being able to deal with it does not mean that Jezailan will lose. After all, with the blessing of the Void Controller, even if he can't beat him, he can still defend easily. The final result should be that both sides fight hard and then leave. If they really fight desperately, they will both lose in the end. It was only when he came to Li Qingyun that Mudo's move changed from an attack to a forced escape skill. Even so, facing Li Qingyun's blockade, this Mudo who performed thousands of illusions did not have full confidence at this time. He could only hope that he could escape by chance. fancy, Li Qingyun shook his head and pointed forward with his right hand casually. As he lightly tapped his finger in the air, a wave of energy instantly emanated from his fingertips, and the entire space around him began to change further. Originally, Li Qingyun only blocked the space so that Muto could not escape. But now, Li Qingyun directly built a void barrier around him. Build a void, block the energy. These 8 words echoed in Li Qingyun's mind. As the time platform began to operate, the surrounding situation began to gradually distort. All the clones of Muto that were originally transformed were unable to move in an instant. What's going on? All the mutas subconsciously looked at Li Qingyun at this moment. Even if they are phantom avatars, they must carry a piece of genetic data if they want to have the ability to restore you. Even if it is only a very small piece of genetic data, it still needs energy to maintain it. It's just that you are using void energy. Ordinary means cannot detect void energy, and there is no way to stop your phantoms from moving, so, as long as I specifically target your void energy, I can naturally make your move completely meaningless, Li Qingyun explained, and almost at the same time, a more powerful force began to spread continuously in all directions, and every time these forces touched a phantom of Muto, the phantom would disappear immediately. It's not just that the phantom is lost, but even the power of the phantom itself has disappeared, and the connection between them and Muto's body is also completely lost at this moment. At this moment, Muto seems to have lost a part of his body, and the speed of this loss is still increasing. No, this is impossible. How can you find a way to destroy my move so easily, and directly destroy the supergenetic data of my body? Muto was shocked, but he could do nothing at this time. In fact, at the moment when he transformed himself into thousands of clones, his power was also divided into thousands of copies. This division allowed Muto to radiate and escape through these clones in the future. As long as one of them escaped, he could keep his supergene data and he would have the possibility of recovering. But this also means that when each clone is destroyed, his own power will be reduced by 1 point. If all the clones are destroyed at the same time, then he will have no way to recover. Too clever is too clever. In such a small space, using thousands of clones without any preparation, you have already died. Li Qingyun said, and the energy released from his body was still devouring those clones, and Muto's power was constantly weakening. Nusa, run away quickly, I can't be saved. Muto gave up. He had given up struggling. He could never avoid death, and now he could only let Nusa, who was still waiting for him outside, go first. At least in this way, he could retain a part of his combat power and assist a god of death Karl in the future to realize their dream pursuit. Nusa heard Muto's voice outside and could only sigh like this, then turned around quickly and began to flee. When Rina saw Nusa was about to escape, she immediately chased after him. However, Nusa's puppet clone jumped out at this moment and blocked Rina directly. Unlike the thousands of phantoms that Muto had transformed into, Nusa's clone was similar to that of Xianji Wang Hexi, and had real and substantial combat power. The one that Rina had fought with before was this puppet clone. Therefore, now that Nusa wanted to escape, Rina had to defeat this puppet clone first no matter what. However, the time it took to defeat this Nusa clone was enough for Nusa's real body to escape. Don't chase him. After leaving Liang, you can't catch up with him no matter how hard you chase him. Li Qingyun's voice came, and Li Qingyun himself walked out of the Xiandao Tower. Muto's supergene data has been completely erased. Muto, who possessed the virtual engine given by the death god Karl, eventually followed the footsteps of Xiangong Wang Hui under Li Qingyun's attack. What a pity. If we could have left Nusa behind, the loss of death god Karl would have been even greater. Lena had heard Li Qingyun mention that death god Karl had 5 black hole substances in his hands, and the first one was given to Xiangong Wang Hui. After Hui was killed by Li Qingyun, death god Karl only had 4 left. Nusa and Muto, who invaded today, both had the same level of virtual engine as Xiangong Wang Hui, so naturally they each had 1. If these 2 were also killed, then death god Karl should only have 2 more fighters of this level around him. But now, Nusa still ran away, so only Muto, who Li Qingyun personally dealt with, was erased. One should not be too greedy. This time, we were able to kill one of the 4 horsemen of the void and severely injure Nusa, which is already very good, Li Qingyun said. He did not feel sorry for Nusa's escape like Reina did. After killing Muto, Nusa and Muto's invasion made the people of Liang Star realize the fatal weakness of their planet. They should make a decision soon. Chapter 323, Tiandao Li Yang's decision. Muto was dead, Noose's clone was destroyed by Reina, and his real body escaped. This sudden invasion was completely over. What should we do now? Pan Zhen flew down from mid-air and stood opposite Li Qingyun and Reina. The fiery sun is already a broken planet. Although you can still threaten the continued operation of this planet because of the Heavenly Dao Tower, this maintenance is actually a temporary solution, not a fundamental solution. If you continue to stay, your Heavenly Dao Tower will always be a weak point, since it cannot be avoided anyway. Just give up directly. If you choose to leave, at least you can take all the people of the entire civilization out alive in an orderly manner. But if you really wait until the Heavenly Dao Tower is destroyed and the planet collapses on its own, even if you are prepared, you can't take everyone away with you. Why should you cause so many lives to be lost in vain for such a little concern in your heart? There is a saying on our earth that people who move live and trees who move die. As the leaders of the Heavenly Dao Fiery Sun, you should also understand this truth. Li Qingyun looked at Pan Zhen and Reina. The two were the leaders of the Fiery Sun, the guardians and main gods of the Fiery Sun. Things like this, in the final analysis, still need to be decided by themselves. We understand what you mean. We will arrange for the people on the planet to start evacuating the Sun Star in an orderly manner. Pan Zhen had actually accepted Li Qingyun's proposal a long time ago and had already made some preparations. The total population of Xiandao Liang is only a few million now. I think, if possible, maybe we can go directly to Earth, as long as we find a smaller country there. Pan Zhen had thought about letting the people of Liang Star move directly to Earth thousands of years ago. This is impossible. Earth can only be the Earth of Earthlings. Even if your population is small, as a complete civilization, we can't let you settle on Earth. Li Qingyun is not a person from this universe, but since he is the commander-in-chief of the Earth Hero Company, he is also the main god of the current Earth civilization. Naturally, he has to consider the Earth. But in this situation, the god of death Karl is eyeing our Xiandao Liang. If we don't go to Earth, but go to other life planets, if they attack again, we will be in danger. Lena spoke. The main god of Xiandao Liang now truly understands how to consider civilization. Indeed, if you people of Liang go somewhere else, the god of death Karl will definitely continue to target you. Li Qingyun naturally knew this, so he had previously proposed that the people of Liang Star migrate to Mars and settle down on Mars. In that case, Xiandao Liang can find a safe new home, and the Earth will naturally accept their arrival because they did not enter the Earth directly. The most important thing is that although the two civilizations are different, they are actually in the same star system, basically sharing honor and disgrace, and will slowly complete the fusion. The effect that the two civilizations after this fusion can eventually play is that they can become a powerful civilization in the universe again, on par with angels and demons. Pan Zhen, the idea I proposed before, if you can accept it, is actually not bad. Li Qingyun looked at Pan Zhen. But Mars was originally a planet that was not suitable for survival. This is the key reason why Pan Zhen has not agreed. Mars, its position in the solar system is far inferior to that of the Earth. If you want to make it a planet where the Liang people can truly live, you may have to invest a lot of resources to transform it. And now Xiandao Liang is relatively short of resources. I know what you are thinking, so when the time comes, I will also let the Earth provide you with certain resources to assist you in the transformation, and you will give the corresponding technology in return. My plan is to make your two civilizations complement each other in the end, and it would be best if they can be completely integrated in the future, Li Qingyun said, but seeing the embarrassed expression on Pan Zhen's face, he finally added a sentence. Of course, I will not directly interfere with your final decision. I will only promote the cooperation between your two civilizations at the beginning so that you can settle on Mars. From the beginning to now, Li Qingyun's real idea is just to guide the two civilizations, and he doesn't really want to be the main god of these two civilizations. The civilization that belongs to Li Qingyun is the super god civilization in the Marvel Universe. Li Qingyun will have to go back sooner or later, and he will take Angel Yan, Qilin, Hexi and others back with him. You won't interfere? Pan Zhen felt a little confused. Judging from the current situation, Li Qingyun is clearly the well-deserved leader of the Earth civilization. After the Earth finally becomes a true main god civilization, the most legitimate main god. But what Li Qingyun said at this moment did not seem to be from the position of a main god, but like a bystander. Although he is more inclined to the Earth side, in the end, he is still a bystander, as if he is leading all this, and after completing it, he will immediately retire. Some things cannot be told to you for the time being, but what I said is true. Li Qingyun can tell Angel Yan, Qilin, Hexi and others about his true identity, but he will not tell anyone else. Okay, we understand, Pan Zhen nodded and said. We have actually been prepared for a long time. The reason we asked that question is just to try again. Lena also spoke. She had discussed this matter with Pan Zhen before. At that time, they had already decided that the best way was to move the entire civilization to the solar system together. If they could go directly to the Earth, it would naturally be the best. After all, the environment there is too perfect. But the Earth is the home of the Earthlings after all, and it is estimated that they will not give it up to them easily. Therefore, if there is really no way to get this opportunity, they will move to Mars according to the plan proposed by Li Qingyun before. Now they can also obtain certain resource supplies provided by the Earth, which can be regarded as an unexpected gain. Well, then go down and prepare. Li Qingyun nodded, then turned around and returned to his residence. In the next period of time, it is an extremely complicated matter to mobilize the people of the entire civilization to migrate together. He has to give Lena and Pan Zhen time to prepare. Chapter 324, Migration of Civilization. Half a month later, Reina finally mobilized the entire population of Liang Star. All of them had decided to follow their Lord God and move to a new planet. In the next few months, they will migrate one after another. Xiandao Liang is a Lord God level civilization after all. Although the population is not large, its materials and equipment are extremely abundant. Although Yangxiao Heavenly Court is very large and there are many spaceships on Liang Star, it is still very difficult to complete the migration of a civilization at once. Fortunately, Li Qingyun is here. Through chaos magic, Li Qingyun directly opened a huge space gate between Liang Star and Mars, the kind of space gate opened by magicians such as Doctor Strange in Marvel movies. The residents of Liang Star moved all kinds of materials to Mars through this space gate. After learning about the situation, the warriors of the Earth civilization also quickly came to support. After all, in terms of sheer quantity, the Earth civilization has an absolute advantage, which is greater than the other four Lord God civilizations. There are only tens of thousands of angels in the mellow heaven, and the demon army has more than 100,000 demons. The death god Karl has a lot of people, and there are many beast civilizations under his command, but if you count carefully, there are only a few million. The Earth is very special. It has now officially entered the ranks of the main god civilization under the leadership of Li Qingyun and Xiangbinglian. But because it has never experienced a serious baptism of war, the population of civilization has been preserved to a great extent. In other words, today's Earth has the technology of the god-making era, but there are still billions of people alive. This is a very terrifying phenomenon. A large population can also give birth to a large number of high-level warriors, and these high-level warriors can retain a group of elite super warriors after years of baptism. The former demon army adopted the method of survival of the fittest, and adopted the method of competition and killing each other on Kunsistar, and finally created the demon civilization, a powerful main god civilization. Today, the population of the Earth is larger than that of Kunsistar, but the state of civilization is better than that of Kunsistar. The impact of the external god civilization, as well as the pressure from the god of death and the devil, all made the humans in the civilization realize that their living conditions were not safe, so they could produce many excellent warriors inside. By focusing on training these excellent warriors, they can become a good reserve of super warriors. The Black Armor Company was born from this. Now, in addition to the Xiangbin Company, the number of Black Armor teams on Earth has also expanded from hundreds of people to thousands, and this number is still increasing. The development of the Earth is really rapid. This is the first sentence of emotion that Pan Zhen uttered after entering Mars, which is exactly the same as the emotion that Morgana uttered when she came to Earth again. This is really because the development of the Earth is too fast. Moreover, this development has not yet shown the kind of overly self-expansive emotions like the former Denner civilization, and no one has the idea that they should become the overlord of the universe. All of this is due to the guidance of Li Qingyun and the Xiangbin Company, and also to the huge pressure from the outside world. If you develop on your own without pressure, like Xiandao Liang, they will have a self-expansion mentality. Or, if you develop together with two civilizations that are almost the same, there will be a state of competition between each other, that is, the arms race of the Denner civilization, which is also very dangerous. But the Earth was originally a target of invasion and a battlefield for the War of Gods by all the main god civilizations, and then they began to develop. Where do they have time to expand themselves? Moreover, Li Qingyun has always stated to the outside world that he is also an outsider. He belongs to the Super God Academy, not the Earth. During the years of the development of the Earth, Li Qingyun is definitely the supreme leader in their hearts and the greatest support for their Earth civilization. But because everyone knows that Li Qingyun comes from other civilizations outside, he is just a passerby, so everyone will understand that this backer may leave one day. And when there is no backer, how can they survive in this chaotic universe surrounded by powerful enemies? There is only one answer, that is to let them grow rapidly during the period when they can still get Li Qingyun's protection. Only when you are strong can you still stand firm in the many changes that may happen in the future. The migration of the Liang civilization lasted for several months. With the arrival of millions of people, a new base was established on Mars. At the same time, a space jump node connecting the Earth and Mars has been established. The distance from Earth to Mars and from Mars to Earth can be completed in just a few minutes through the space jump point. The existence of this channel allows the two civilizations to quickly communicate with each other and quickly complete the integration of each other in the following period of time. On Earth, Li Qingyun, who had just returned, found Chen Yaowen again. As the former prince of Dexing, Chen Yaowen has a pivotal position in the hearts of the survivors of Dexing, and Li Qingyun found him for only one reason. He hoped that Chen Yaowen would allow the survivors of Dexing to transfer to the solar system. Not to Earth, but to Mars, right next to the Liang star base that has been established now. Li Qingyun's purpose was also very simple. He wanted to remind those people on Liang star of the tragic consequences of their coveting other civilizations. At the same time, he also arranged an opponent for the people on Liang star to restrain each other. Even though the relationship between Dexing and Liang is no longer as tense as it was in the past, there must be a sense of vigilance between each other, so they will naturally keep an eye on each other's movements at any time. In this case, if there is anything wrong, they will immediately expose it, and the people of Xiongbinglian on Earth will be able to know it immediately. This intention to harm others should not be there, but the heart of guarding against others must be there. Li Qingyun can transfer Liang star to Mars, but how can he not be vigilant against them at all? Pan Zhen and Lena, they actually understand Li Qingyun's thoughts, so although they feel uncomfortable, they will not show any dissatisfaction. After all, if it were them, they would do the same. And maybe it would be even more excessive. Chapter 325 I'm here, how can I let you fall behind? The final migration of the Liang civilization and the Dexing survivors has been completed, and Li Qingyun has finally begun to shift his attention to the training of the Xiongbinglian team. This team of 20 people will have a competitive battle with the 20 people selected from the Demon Legion in more than a year. But the impact of this battle will be a key battle that can determine the future direction of the two civilizations. Therefore, no matter whether it is the Earth side or the Demon side, no one dares to take it lightly. It seems that everyone's growth is significant. Li Qingyun looked at the two teams that were fighting 10 Vogue 10 below and was very satisfied with their performance. Especially Jezailan, he is no longer a simple warrior, he has begun to gradually adapt to being a leader and commanding the battle. Of course, I, Sun, have trained them personally, how can there be no progress? Sun Wukong is full of confidence. He has been responsible for teaching these 20 people from the beginning, and even the angel Wang Yan has cooperated with him as much as possible. After all, in terms of fighting, the fighting Buddha Sun Wukong, is the best. Even so, we still have to make some other preparations. When Li Qingyun said this, his eyes turned to where Qilin was. Upgrade their super genes? But among these people, some of the super genes were not designed with backdoors when they were first designed. If you want to upgrade, I'm afraid, don't worry about this problem, I will solve it myself. Li Qingyun had already thought of this problem. The super gene in Qilin's body was the first generation created by the Shen civilization, and it was also the most primitive model, which could not be upgraded at all. Therefore, in the original book, other super soldiers have been greatly strengthened, but only Qilin is still only the first generation. The biggest difference is that she has changed to a more powerful weapon. Now Li Qingyun is in charge of the affairs of the entire Xiongbin company and is Qilin's lover. How could he let this happen again? Do you have a way to expand Qilin's super gene and upgrade it to the second generation or even higher? Sun Wukong looked at Li Qingyun with a little surprise. Well, I have studied it for a long time, and now I have developed a perfect upgrade plan. Li Qingyun nodded. Since he could say this, he could do it. That's good. I had considered before whether to replace her if she couldn't upgrade. Now it seems that it's not necessary. Sun Wukong was telling the truth. In the entire team, everyone else had upgraded at least once to the Super Gene level, but Qingyun was the only one who had never upgraded from the beginning to the end. According to their understanding of the demon army, this time the Demon King Morgana invested a lot of resources to create these 20 demons. By then, it is estimated that all of them will be third-generation super warriors, and even have third-generation divine bodies. A first generation, facing a group of opponents who are all above the third generation, this kind of battle is indeed too dangerous. If Qingyun still goes on the field, she will definitely be directly targeted. Now Li Qingyun said that he has a way to upgrade her, which solves a very critical problem. An hour later, the training ended and everyone left the training ground. Li Qingyun found Qingyun, took her, and left the team alone. Are you also going to persuade me to give up this battle? When the two of them arrived in the room, Qingyun finally couldn't help but say what she had been wanting to say. No, I have supported you to go to the battlefield from the beginning, Li Qingyun said with a smile. Don't comfort me, Monkey Brother has long reminded me that my super gene cannot be upgraded. At that time, participating in the battle as a first generation will become a weak point for the entire team. Qingyun's tone was a little melancholy. Watching all the other comrades getting stronger, but she can only stay where she is, this feeling is very difficult for her, a girl who has always been strong, to accept. Monkey Brother is not wrong. If you have always been the first generation, you really shouldn't participate in this battle. That's not, but how can I let you always be the first generation? Li Qingyun interrupted Qingyun's words. At this moment, Qingyun also looked at Li Qingyun in shock. She suddenly realized that Li Qingyun brought her here not to persuade her to quit, but because he knew her current embarrassing situation, so he specially upgraded her super gene level. Do you have a way to upgrade my super gene? Qingyun finally asked this question. Of course, Li Qingyun answered affirmatively. Great, I can finally stop being the one who drags my feet, Qingyun cheered excitedly. You are the best sniper, you have never been the one who drags my feet, Li Qingyun said with a smile. Yes, you are so good, I really. Qingyun looked at Li Qingyun, the joy and excitement on her face could not be concealed. Since I am so good, do you want to comfort me tonight? This is the real reason why Li Qingyun brought Qingyun back to the room. Hate, Qingyun's face immediately turned red, just like the setting sun, which was just magnificent and golden, but suddenly became fiery red. Then, do you want to comfort me? Li Qingyun saw Qingyun's look and laughed. Yes, Qingyun agreed decisively, and then rushed over. The whole night after that, the two of them did not stop in their room. When Qingyun went to participate in the training the next day, everyone clearly felt that Qingyun had changed. The level of her super gene finally changed from the past. The super war sniper who could only be the first generation has now been further upgraded. Her divine body level directly jumped over 2 stages, from the first generation to the third generation, and the weapon in her hand was also greatly strengthened. The original God Killer No. 1 armor-piercing bullet was actually directly replaced with a dark silver bullet. In this way, this bullet is not only extremely lethal to the first and second generation super soldiers, but also can be easily penetrated by the third generation divine body. Qingyun finally changed from a drag on the whole team to the well-deserved C position in the team, the most critical output. Everyone was shocked by Qingyun's upgrade. But only Angel Yan noticed the difference in Qingyun's expression, especially when she looked at Li Qingyun. It was just like the state when I met Li Qingyun again after being separated for a while. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.